A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Your Coca-Cola bottler presents Claudia. Claudia, based on the original stories by Rose Franken. Brought to you, transcribed, Monday through Friday, by your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. Relax, and while you're listening, refresh yourself. Have a Coke. And now, Claudia.
Thinking of? That's what I'm thinking of, too.
What?
Means telling Roger about your big new job in Chicago, doesn't it?
Frankly, I don't know how to do it. I didn't even get a chance. He wasn't in the office all day.
Oh, probably Christmas shopping. Tell him Friday. I'd rather not think about it till after Christmas.
Me, too. We'll act as if we're never going. How's that?
Cowardly, but let's. I've forgotten already. I love New York around Christmas.
We have only 15 minutes more of shopping time before Christmas. We still have to get Mama a present.
I still haven't got an idea in my head. Have you?
Where do other people get their mothers? What did you used to give Mama before we were married?
We never gave each other anything. Sort of seems silly for us to exchange presents, just the two of us.
Well, I insist. After all, she gave me you. The least I can do is give her a handkerchief or a lollipop in return. What about presents from husbands? Do you believe in them?
Not on anniversaries or holidays. Besides, you've given me one already.
I have?
Certainly.
How nice of me. When?
Oh, a couple of months ago.
Really?
Yep.
You mean Shakespeare?
Nope. Can't you guess?
Nope.
As a matter of fact, you're an Indian giver. Because I'm going to return your present to you.
Oh, don't you like it?
I love it, but I'm going to return it in June. How'd you guess?
I guess, Mrs. Norton. You know, I can't get used to the idea of your being a mother.
You'll get used to it. Darling, has Christmas ever been so Christmassy?
I used to hate November and December and holidays and winter months. The early dark in the afternoon, the days getting shorter.
I love the days getting shorter. Makes the nights longer. Dark now already. Nice.
I don't like to change the subject, Mrs. Norton, but what about Mrs. Brown's Christmas present?
David, look. Look where we are.
I wish we were home.
We're almost at Mr. Flannery's pet shop. How'd you like to go in and say Merry Christmas to him?
Is this a plot?
A plot?
You know what I mean. Have I been led here like a sheep?
No, honestly, I wouldn't think of buying a dog for Mama.
Or for you,
Of course
suppose.
not.
Oh.
Suppose he has a nice big one. Come on, let's go in.
All right, but just one thing, darling.
What, David?
This visit is merely a social call. We're not going to buy anything.
Of course not. Who said we were? Are you sure Mama will like this parrot for Christmas?
She'll love him. Sailors always have parrots.
Mama gets seasick. David, what are we going to do about wrapping up Solomon?
That's a funny name for a parrot. Let's just tie a big red ribbon around his neck.
Say, would you mind putting your finger on this knot so I can tie a bow around the package?
Do you call this wrapping a present?
What's the matter with it?
Everything. It's all coming apart. Here, let me
Of course
show
it is. It's not together yet.
That's cheating. Here, give it to me.
You didn't have to tear it up.
There.
Could have used it for something else.
Now, give me a better ribbon.
Oh, darling. Listen how quiet it is.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse.
Not even Shakespeare. No. Or Solomon, worse luck. I wish he'd say something. Must be awfully cold out tonight.
How do you know?
Because it's so warm and cozy in here. At night, it's like living in a little pool of light and warmth. That's what our apartment is, isn't it?
Some people would call it a zoo.
I love zoos. The doorbell.
Yeah, I heard it.
David, the doorbell. Solomon.
Well, he didn't ring it.
Maybe it's Mama. We'd better hide him.
I'll put him in the closet.
Be careful, don't spill him.
Now, Solomon, old boy, come on with Papa.
Thank goodness he is a silent bird tonight.
You'd better stay silent, too. In you go, sailor. If you want something, toot twice on your horn.
All right.
Everything shipshape.
Hello, Ma. Why, Roger.
Roger Santa Claus Killian himself.
I'm so glad to see you. It's been weeks.
Hello, Roger.
David, Merry Christmas.
Same to you. We missed you at the office today.
Did you? How nice.
Sit down, please.
Thank you.
Roger, would you like to see the parrot we bought for my mother?
Oh, I would. I love parrots, though they make me self-conscious. I always think they know more than they actually do.
Well, ours doesn't know anything. Or if he does, he hasn't spoken about it yet. Do you think he might be sick? I better get him.
I'm glad to see you, Roger. I've been wanting to speak to you.
I have, too. I stayed out of the office today. I had to see my lawyer before we talked. And you know how long those things take.
Yes, I suppose I do.
Oh, here he is. Roger, this is Solomon. Solomon, say hello.
Come on. Oh, snooty, huh? Well, hello to you, old fellow. Hello.
Say hello. Say avast. Say the jib is luffing. Say anything.
David, you'll give him stage fright. Just ignore him. Maybe he'll come out of his shell.
He came out decades ago. You know, David, coming up here to visit you and Claudia is a tonic. I think Christmas was meant for people like you.
We don't really need Christmas. I suppose that's why it's so nice to have it.
Well, whether you need Christmas or not, I've come up here to give you my gift.
I bet it's beautifully wrapped.
As a matter of fact, it's not wrapped at all.
I'm glad. It would have made me very self-conscious.
You won't even be able to hold it in your hand.
No?
No.
David, what do you think?
No, Roger's trying to tell us, darling.
I know, but something you can't even hold in your hands. I can't imagine.
I'm going to offer David... No, let me begin a little further back. A few days ago, I told David that I was thinking of giving up the firm. I hardly thought it was worth carrying on.
It's worth it, Roger, if you want it.
Exactly. I've had the firm quite a number of years.
I don't see how you could give it up, Roger.
Well, I've decided that I can't let go either. Not yet. But I haven't been thinking only of myself. It's not a very nice thing at this season of the year to tell a man he's got to go and look for another job.
Well, it can't always be helped, Roger.
I know. But when it can, it should be. You and Claudia are just getting settled. You need whatever security you can have. And I believe in you, David. I believe you're going to be a great architect. And someday I'm going to be proud of having had you as a partner.
As a partner?
Roger, did you say partner?
If you'll accept. I've come here tonight to offer you a partnership in my firm. I mean, our firm.
That's a very fine offer.
It's the best that I can give you. And I wouldn't want you to have any less.
David couldn't ask for more.
I don't know, Claudia. I've been feeling very tired and a bit old. But now I think I can pull through the mess we're in, but not alone. I'll need help. And I'm asking David for it.
You're not asking for anything he doesn't want to give, Roger.
David, you won't find this partnership a very rich one. We'll have to share my drawing account until things get so that there's enough for two. It probably won't even be anything as regular as the salary you're getting now.
Well, who cares about that?
I do. For you. As a matter of fact, on my way up here, I fancied I was bringing you a gift. At least I tried to believe that. But in hearing myself make the offer, I feel rather like the captain who's asked you to remain on his sinking ship. The gift is to myself.
Then you don't know what you're giving me. You're giving me my chance at independence, at working for myself, doing just those things that I like best, of building something that's going to be ours. I don't think you could have given a more generous gift, Roger.
But you don't have to accept, you know. Just think it over.
So I don't have to accept, do I?
Nope, you don't. That's what the man said.
I guess I'll just have to think it over.
Yeah, I guess you better.
Well, I've thought it over.
So have I.
What do you think?
Me? Same as you.
Mr. Killian, you have just acquired yourself a new partner.
Well, it's good news.
Honestly, Roger, now tell me, did you think I'd say no? Did you think that I'd pass up an offer to be your partner, to work with you, for us?
Well, frankly, I hope very much you'd say yes. David, seriously, one thing. If you ever get an offer that's decent, really good, someplace where you'll have the backing to develop this freight terminal idea of yours, you grab it.
No, we're going to develop that freight terminal idea together, Roger. You and I. It may take us a little more time than we'd... Well, anyway, we'll do it. No matter how long it takes.
Roger, I can't tell you what you've given us.
I've given you absolutely nothing. But thank you. And Merry Christmas, partner.
Well, partner, same to you.
Just before you came, Roger, David and I thought that there was not one thing anyone could give us. We were wrong. You have brought us that one thing.
Claudia, you're very sweet. I haven't been kissed like that in years. I like it. Very much. Good night.
And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Roger.
David, he's such a generous man.
He is that. Do you know why, Claudia?
Why, darling?
Because you allowed him to be generous, darling. But Claudia, do you know what all of this really means?
Do I know? It means not having to keep up with the Joneses, no formal dinner parties with Mr. Carrington and his board. It means no big salary every week. Isn't it wonderful?
I think so. I think it's very wonderful.
I never wanted any of that, did you?
You, my dear girl, are a nice, very nice girl.
Oh, David. Now we don't have to go to Chicago at all, do we?
We've been to Chicago, darling. We've been there and back.
It was a wonderful trip, David. I'm glad we're home.
This broadcast of Claudia was supervised and directed by William Brown Maloney. When visitors come in during the holidays for an evening of music or talk, you'll all enjoy the hours more if there's pleasant refreshment at hand. But that refreshment needn't be extravagant, and it needn't tax your energies or take much time. Just have your grocer or service station attendant put a case of Coca-Cola in the car today. Tuck plenty of Coke into the refrigerator, and you're ready to share the pause that refreshes with all who come. Every day, Monday through Friday, Claudia comes to you transcribed with the best wishes of your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. So listen again tomorrow at the same time. And now this is Joe King saying au revoir, and remember, whoever you are, whatever you do, wherever you may be, when you think of refreshment, think of Coca-Cola. For ice-cold Coca-Cola makes any pause the pause that refreshes. Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, king size, extra mild and soothing, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to Homicide Division. You get a call that the body of a dead man has been found in a vacant lot. The man has been beaten to death. Your job, investigate. Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality.
Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
Switch to Fatima yourself today.
Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, February 6th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Homicide Division. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Warman. My name's Friday. It was 10:14 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide. Frank?
In here, Joe.
Right. Hi. Morning, Skipper.
Joe, Smith says you ran into a bad one out there in Fountain.
Yeah, we did. Must have been quite a fight out there. The victim's clothes were pretty well torn up. The ground around the body was all trampled. Wonder we could tell that much.
How do you mean?
Well, the body was found by a couple of schoolgirls. The vacant lot out there near Fountain and Selma. Girls took a shortcut through the lot, and when they saw the body, they let out enough screams to get the whole neighborhood over there.
Mother put in the call. By the time the radio unit got there, the neighbors had walked over the whole area. They got the people back right away, but most of the physical evidence, if there was any, had been trampled out. That helps. Any of those people see or hear anything?
No, nothing.
How was he killed?
We found a big piece of concrete near the body, bloodstains on it. The crime lab's checking it now.
Did they find anything else?
No, they're still checking the scene. Lee's going to call. Crowd made such a mess out of the place.
A lot of houses around there. Somebody must have heard something.
Well, we talked to a young girl, lives a couple of doors down from the lot. Seeing she and her boyfriend were coming home from the show. Said about 9:45, 10 o'clock, they noticed a car parked in front of the lot.
Yeah.
The girl said they noticed it right away. Afraid it might be some guys out to cause trouble. She told us that when she and her boyfriend walked by, they heard loud talking, men arguing.
Mm-hmm. She able to describe the car? Just said it was a dark sedan, late model, 51 or 52.
We checked the boyfriend. He told about the same story. He said he thought the car was a dark blue Ford.
Mm.
Well, anyway, the girl said she got scared and went right into the house. A few minutes later, they heard a car tear by. They looked up the street, and the parked car was gone.
This was around 10 o'clock.
Yeah, that's right.
That might make it about the time of the killing.
Well, we'll know better when the body's posted.
The girl or her boyfriend able to describe the men? No, so, Skipper. All they could tell us was it looked like there were two men in the car. Said they couldn't get a good look at them. License number?
No. The boy said he thought of taking it down, but he didn't.
Tough break.
Hanson and Cummings helped check the neighborhood. They didn't do any better. Seems like everybody in the vicinity was away for the evening.
Anything from the coroner, Frank?
No, Hanson just brought this in. Guy's with all the stuff in his pockets.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Driver's license. Name's John Allen Iverson. Address been scratched. No, here it is, on the back. Had it changed. 6295 North Serrano Avenue. Height 5'9", born October 2nd, 23. Make it 28, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Weight 136, eyes hazel, brown hair.
What else did you need?
Calendar from an oil company, blank check, picture of a puppy, Dalmatian, huh?
Yeah, looks like it, doesn't it?
Picture of a woman.
Let's see that.
Here, wait a minute, here's a card. Case of accident, please notify Mrs. Alfred Iverson, mother, 6295 Serrano Avenue, Hollywood 98844.
Probably her picture.
She been notified yet?
No, not yet.
Keys, comb, nail file, cigarettes, couple of slugs. Good for one play. Match folder.
Let me see that, huh? George's Pool and Snooker, Burbank Boulevard.
Yeah. Found $13.42 in his pocket. He was wearing a wristwatch, too.
Yeah, the watch looked new. It was expensive.
Money in the watch still there. Doesn't look like robbery.
No, not much. Seems the thief would have taken him anyway.
Any ideas on a motive?
Well, it's hard to say, Skipper. Could be almost anything.
Not much to go on. Lousy thing.
Yeah, and it's not getting any better.
Yeah?
We got to tell his mother now. 10:50 a.m. We called Lee Jones to see if he'd been able to come up with any new information. He told us that besides the piece of cement, his crew had been able to find little other physical evidence. Tests of the blood found on the concrete were not finished, but Lee said that it looked like the murder weapon. Although the ground around the body was fairly soft, the people in the neighborhood effectively obliterated any footprints that the killer might have left. We were faced with the old problem. The average citizen, in an attempt to be helpful, had unknowingly destroyed what physical evidence we might have found. We went by R&I and checked the name John Allen Iverson without result. 11:35 a.m. Frank and I signed out and drove to the address listed on Iverson's driver's license, 6295 North Serrano Avenue. It was a small frame cottage set well back on the lot. The yard was well kept, and as we climbed the front stairs, we could hear a dog barking in the rear of the house. We rang the bell, and a lady in her middle 60s answered the door. It was the woman in the picture that we found in Iverson's wallet.
Yes?
Mrs. Iverson?
Yes?
Police officers, ma'am. I'd like to talk to you if we could.
Well, of course. Won't you come in?
Thank you very much.
You'll have to excuse the way I look. I was in the middle of baking. What was it you wanted, officer? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't remember your name.
Joe Friday, ma'am. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you? Is it about the dog barking at night? We've tried to keep him quiet. Alarm clocks, hot water bottles, everything. He's just a puppy, though, officers. He doesn't know.
No, ma'am. It's not about the dog. It's about your boy.
John? What's he done?
Well, he's had an accident, Miss Iverson.
An accident? John?
Yes, ma'am.
Serious?
Yes, ma'am. Pretty serious.
You sure it's my boy? John Allen Iverson?
Yes, ma'am. It's your boy.
He's in the hospital. Is that it?
No, ma'am. He's not in the hospital.
Not in the hospital? He's dead?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
John Allen Iverson? You're sure?
Yes, ma'am. We're sure.
Oh, no. It can't be. I won't let it be. John, my baby. You've got to be wrong.
No, I'm sorry, ma'am.
John dead. Gone away from me. For always. Why did it have to be John? Why?
It's always the same question, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, how do you answer it? Frank put in a call to Mrs. Iverson's doctor. 5 minutes later, he arrived and gave her a sedative. We asked if we could talk to her, and he told us that it'd be all right if we kept the questioning brief. He explained that Mr. Iverson, John's father, had died 2 years before, and that his passing had hit Mrs. Iverson pretty hard. He said that it'd be a few minutes before the sedative took full effect and that we might talk to the woman until then. Frank and I walked into the bedroom.
I hope you'll forgive me for crying.
Yes, ma'am. We understand, Miss Iverson. There are a few questions we'd like to ask you.
How did it happen? Auto accident?
No, ma'am. He was murdered.
Murdered? Why? Who did it? Have you caught him yet?
No, not yet, ma'am. That's why we need your help.
Anything I can do? Anything at all? John murdered. Doesn't seem possible. So hard to believe.
Yes, ma'am. Was there anyone you might know of who didn't like your son? Someone who might have hated him enough to do this?
No one. No one at all. John had a lot of friends. Wasn't anybody who didn't like him. Bright and cheery, always smiling. I'm sorry. Please, I want to help. Get this over with. Go ahead with the questions.
Perfectly all right, ma'am. You like my handkerchief?
Oh, thank you. Now, what was it you were asking?
Could you tell us where your son worked?
Airplane factory out in the valley. He's an inspector. Just got a promotion and a raise. He was so proud. First rung of the ladder, he said, on his way up.
Mm-hmm. What factory do you work at, ma'am?
Webster's. They make parts. John worked the morning shift, midnight to 7 in the morning. Said there was a better chance for advancement on the morning shift.
How about girls, ma'am? Anyone special your son saw quite a bit of?
Oh, just Alice. Alice Johnson. Saw her quite a bit. He was going to see her last night. Had a date for 6:30.
When did he leave the house, do you recall?
Oh, 6:15 or so. Alice just lives a few doors down the street. John was going to take her to a championship match over in Burbank.
Ma'am?
Billiards.
Oh.
John loved to play billiards. Alice liked it, too. John always said that when he got married, he's going to have a table right in the house.
Do you happen to remember where in Burbank this billiard match was going to be held?
I'm not sure, but I think John said at George's place, right on Burbank Boulevard.
Do you know if your son had a large amount of money with him when he left?
Well, he had his week's pay with him. He just cashed his check this afternoon, and then he gave me the $30 for the house. He had the rest of it.
About how much would that be?
Oh, maybe $40, $45.
How about jewelry, ma'am? You carry any rings, anything like that?
No, John didn't believe in wearing a ring. Said he'd do that when he got married. There was his watch. He had that.
Wristwatch, ma'am?
Yes, he always carried. He kept perfect time.
Did your son have a car, Miss Iverson?
Yes, a Ford, 1951 Ford.
What color, do you know?
Dark blue. Pretty car. He was so proud of it.
I wonder if you'd have the license number of the car, ma'am.
Yes, I think you'll find it with the phone book in the bureau. He kept all his papers there.
Wonder if it'd be all right if we got it, ma'am.
Yes, all right.
Thank you. This it, ma'am?
Yes, that's it. I still can't believe it.
Yes, ma'am.
It's going to be a hard thing to get used to, isn't it?
Ma'am?
Life without a son.
12:40 p.m. Frank and I drove back to the office and checked the license number we'd gotten through DMV. The car was registered to a John Allen Iverson, 6295 North Serrano Avenue. Legal owner, Bank of America. A local and an all-points bulletin were gotten out on the car, all occupants to be held for investigation. In the event the car was found abandoned, a stakeout was to be placed on it and homicide was to be notified. We checked the name Alice Johnstone through R&I, but there was no record on her. 1:50 p.m. Frank and I drove out to her place of employment, an unpainted furniture factory on Ventura Boulevard. We questioned the girl for a good hour, and she explained that John Iverson was usually on time for his dates with her, but the previous night he'd called to say that he'd be a little late. He called several more times and finally said that he was afraid they'd better cancel the date and that he'd call for her in the morning. She told us that she could think of no reason for anyone to be jealous of her spending so much time with Iverson, that he was the only date that she'd had for over a year. She gave us names and addresses of mutual friends to add to the list we already had to check out. 3:05 p.m. Frank and I went for something to eat. Is that all you're going to eat, Frank? Just that little salad?
Yeah, Elizabeth's got the idea I ought to cut down on my lunches. Said I'm getting too heavy around the middle.
Oh, that's too bad. Chili was good.
Yeah, it looks good. Pretty spicy, was it?
No, just right. A lot of beef.
Uh-huh. Joe?
Yeah?
You think I'm getting too fat?
No, you don't look it to me.
When a man gets in his 30s, he's supposed to look a little portly, isn't he?
Well, I don't know, Frank. You couldn't prove by me.
Well, I always heard so. My father was pretty heavy. That has a lot to do with it.
That's so?
Well, sure, you know. It's heredity, that stuff. A lot of beef, huh?
Yeah, now look, Frank, why don't you have a bowl of the chili? It doesn't look like it's got too many calories in it.
No, it doesn't, does it? Miss? Oh, miss, could I have a bowl of that chili? Some of that coconut cream pie, too. Thanks.
Yeah, right away.
What do you figure, Joe, about the Iverson?
No, I can't figure it. If we could just come up with a motive, it might be easier. Give us some place to start.
Yeah. Young kid. Seemed everybody liked him.
It looks that way. I've been thinking about that robbery angle. His mother said he left the house with about $45, didn't she? Now, we find him, and he's only got 13 of it left. Where'd the rest go? And that watch. If anybody was going to hold him up, they'd take the watch. They could have gotten something for it.
Bigger revenge? Jealousy?
I don't know. The girl said there wasn't any reason for that. Look, as soon as you finish your lunch, let's check the place he worked. The guys he worked with, maybe they can give us the answer. It's been done before.
Yeah?
Iverson. He just got a raise and a promotion. Maybe somebody thought they should have got it. Before we left the lunchroom, we called the list of names into R&I. 3:32 p.m. Frank and I drove out to the aircraft plant where John Iverson had been employed. We checked with the foreman of the shop, the men he worked with, the personnel office, everyone he came in contact with during the day's work. They all gave us the same answer, that they could see no reason why anyone would want to take his life. 4:56 p.m. The list of names we'd given R&I had come back with no make. None of the names had any criminal record. We called the county morgue and found that the coroner had posted the body and that the cause of death was listed as a subarachnoid hemorrhage due to multiple depressed fractures of the skull. Lee Jones had finished the test and was able to tell us that the piece of concrete found at the scene was more than likely the murder weapon. 6:15 p.m. Frank and I drove over to Burbank to George's Pool and Snooker Hall. It was a big place with a lot of neon over the entrance. Inside, there were about 10 tables with a row of theater chairs on each side of the large room. Just off the entrance was a small bar. Except for a man brushing off the table, the place was empty.
Hi, what'll it be? Pool, billiards, or snooker?
You the manager here?
No, I'm not. I kind of run the place, though, when he's not here. Something I can do?
We're police officers. My name's Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do? I'm Sam Howard.
Were you on duty here last night, Mr. Howard?
Yeah, until about midnight. I leave then. Sometimes when George asks me, I stay on, but I usually shove off about midnight. Why, anything wrong? I can get George on the phone.
You know a man by the name of Iverson, John Iverson? You ever see him around here?
Iverson? There's an awful lot of guys come in here, hard to tell. What's he look like?
5'9", about 136 pounds, brown hair. Likes to play billiards, I understand.
John... Yeah, I think I know who you mean. Never knew his last name before, but he comes in here quite a bit. Always plays billiards, 3 cushion.
You see him last night?
Well, there were an awful lot of people here last night. Had a match, pretty crowded.
Well, was he in here last night?
Well, yeah. Came in, watched the match for a while, then he sat up at the bar, had a couple of beers.
Was he drinking with anybody?
Let me think. Yeah, he and another guy were talking it up. The other guy was popping for the drink.
You know the other man?
No, sir. Don't think I ever saw him before.
About what time was that?
Gee, it's hard to say. I was pretty busy.
It's important, Mr. Howard.
Like that, huh? Well, I'd say it was 7 o'clock, maybe 7:30. Johnny came in first. He watched the matches for a while. Then when this other guy came in, they both moved to the bar. Stayed there talking till about 9:30, 9:45. Then they walked out together.
They were together all evening, then?
Yeah, near as I can tell.
What did this other man look like?
Let me think. I'd say he was maybe 36, 37, had kind of dark hair.
How tall would you say he was?
Oh, about your height, 5'10" or 11. Had on a plaid sport jacket. I noticed that because I've been looking for one like it. You know, sort of Glen plaid, only with more color. Not exactly loud.
What color was the jacket?
Blue. Real rich blue. Must have cost a fellow a lot.
During the conversation, did Iverson and this other man seem to get along all right?
Oh, yeah. Even when the fellow lost the bet.
What bet?
Yeah, they had a bet on a match. The other guy lost, and he had to pay Johnny $10. Didn't have the cash, had to cash a check.
You cash it here?
Yeah, it was a payroll check. George doesn't like it when we cash personal checks. If they bounce, we have to stand the laws.
Do you think we could locate that check, Mr. Howard? Do you happen to remember the company name on it?
No, not right off. I can get it for you.
Sure.
Well, George wasn't feeling too well today, so he didn't get to the bank. Check's still in the safe.
The check was issued from the Kimberly Insurance Company and made out to Martin G. Weber. The endorsement was made by Weber with a notation of his address under the signature. We called the office and had the name run through R&I. There was no record on him. According to the information we've gotten from Sam Howard, the last time the victim was seen alive at 9:45 p.m., he was in the company of Martin Weber. Frank and I got in the car and drove out to the Kimberly Insurance Company. It was a large building on San Fernando Road. The employees were leaving the building when Frank and I got to the office of the general manager. We asked him about Weber, and he told us that he'd been with the firm for the past 10 years, starting as a runner on the floor and rising to the position of office manager. He told us further that in his entire 10 years of service, Weber had never been late or missed a day's work. However, on that particular morning, he hadn't shown up at all. We called our office and arranged for a stakeout on the building of the insurance company. Frank and I drove out to Weber's home, a modern apartment house in the North Hollywood area. We rang the bell, but there was no answer. We checked with the landlord, and he told us that he hadn't seen Weber the night before. In the company of the manager, we checked Weber's apartment. He was not there, and from what we could see, the bed had not been slept in. In further checking, the manager was able to give us the name and address of Weber's sister, a Mrs. Madge Wilson. We arranged for a stakeout on the apartment. 9:20 p.m. Frank and I drove over to check with his sister.
Yes?
Ms. Wilson?
That's right.
Police officers, Ms. Wilson. I'd like to talk to you. My name's Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
Come in. But I thought all this had been cleared up.
Ma'am?
Well, you hear about my brother Martin, don't you?
Well, yes, ma'am. I don't think I understand.
Neither do I. It seems to me that you'd spend your time trying to find out why the man did it instead of bothering us. My husband won't like this at all. We're taxpayers. We've got rights.
Just a minute, ma'am. I think maybe there's a misunderstanding.
Nothing of the sort. You're here to talk about Martin, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
No misunderstanding at all. He had an accident. It's up to you to take care of the man who did it. Put him in jail for a long time.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Wilson. I'm not sure we know what you're talking about.
Well, this is the limit. My poor husband spends practically the whole night filling out forms, and you didn't even take time to read them. I'm talking about Martin's accident. The man who ran him down last night, put him in the hospital, broke his leg. That's what I'm talking about. I've got 2 kids upstairs with bad colds, and I haven't got time to stand around and talk to you. If there's anything else you want to know, you can talk to my husband. He'll tell you.
You say your brother was run down by a car last night, ma'am?
Yes, last night.
And he's in the hospital now?
Yes.
Now, look, we're only trying to conduct an investigation, ma'am. Could you tell us what time this accident happened and where?
All right. It's on the report, if you'd only read it.
Yes, ma'am.
Martin was on his way home last night. He stepped off the curb out on Burbank Boulevard, and this car came right around the corner and hit him. Broke his leg. Sent him to the hospital. He's been there ever since. He's there now.
What time did this happen, ma'am? Do you know?
Sure I know. It was 9:45.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma. And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Yes, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos, the finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, sunny yellow pack. Carefully Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So next time, insist on Fatima quality. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Smoke Fatima, the extra mild and soothing king-size cigarette, with the added protection of Fatima quality.
When we explained about John Iverson's death to Mrs. Wilson, she was extremely apologetic about the way she'd acted. She went on to say that her brother did have an appointment with Iverson the night before. We put in a call to Sergeant Erbson of the Accident Record Bureau downtown, and he told us that there was a traffic accident report which listed the time of the accident at 9:46, corroborating the story given us by Mrs. Wilson. Weber had been given emergency treatment at Georgia Street and then transferred to General Hospital. From what Sam Howard had told us, we knew that Iverson had been alive at approximately 9:45 p.m. The deputy coroners fixed the time of death at approximately 10 or 10:30 p.m. The fact that Martin Weber had been run down by a car at 9:46 p.m. seemed to absolve him of any part in the crime. The stakeouts at his place of business and his home were removed. Frank and I drove over to General Hospital to interview Martin Weber. His leg was in traction, but he seemed to be in good spirits.
I was on my way home, just stepped off the curb to catch a bus. Next thing I know, I looked up right into a pair of headlights. Almost scared me to death. And whammo, I was on the street, my leg broken. Oh, well, I'm covered. The whole thing won't cost me a cent.
Yes, sir. We were talking to Sam Howard over at George's billiard hall. He said you were there with John Iverson last night. That right?
Yeah, that's right. Had a talk with old John. Had a big business deal, trying to sell him some insurance.
Oh, I didn't know you were a salesman, Mr. Weber.
Well, I'm not really. Office manager. I don't like the job. Figured if I could bring in a good sale, the boss might let me have a crack at selling.
Well, did Iverson give you any indication that he wanted any insurance?
Well, not right off. He's always been worried about his mother, though. You know, if anything should happen to him.
Yeah.
Anyway, a couple of days ago, one of the pressmen out at the plant where John works was killed. Accident. I thought this might be a good chance to try to sell John some coverage. You know, life. Leave his mother a little something.
Yes, sir.
Well, old John wasn't an easy one, let me tell you. Told me he wasn't completely sold on insurance yet, and then he said he'd leave it up to the billiard match.
Sir?
If the championship changed hands, then John would buy some insurance. If it didn't, I had to pay him $10. I lost. Had to cash my paycheck to do it, too. Yeah, those are the breaks, though, aren't they? Lose a sale and then get hit by a car. So what's this all about, anyway? Why all the questions about old John?
Well, he was killed last night, Mr. Weber.
Killed? What do you mean?
He was murdered.
Well, how'd it happen?
That's what we're trying to find out, sir. While you were at the bar with Iverson, did you see him talk to anybody, anyone besides you?
No, he made a couple of phone calls, said they were to his girlfriend, but that's about all. Wait a minute.
Yeah?
When we got outside the bar, there were a couple of guys that came up and talked to him.
Had these men been in the bar?
Yeah, come to think of it, they were sitting right next to us. When I had to cash that check, I didn't have a pen to endorse it, and one of the guys gave me his to use.
You ever seen them before?
No, I don't think I ever did.
Can you describe the men, Mr. Weber, what they looked like?
I didn't pay much attention to him. One of the fellows was a big guy, maybe 6 feet or more, a couple of 100 pounds anyway.
How old would you say?
Oh, maybe 37, around there. I'd know him if I saw him again.
Well, how's that, sir?
The scar, had a scar right across here on his forehead. Made him look like he was frowning all the time.
How about the other man?
I'm afraid I can't be of much help there. He was short, 5'5" or 6", heavy, 180 more or less. I think he was wearing a flannel suit. I can't be sure about that.
And you saw these men out on the sidewalk with Iverson right after you left the bar, is that right?
Yeah. After I told John goodnight, I walked over to the corner. I saw these two fellows come up to John, and from what I could hear, they were asking for a lift someplace.
You gave him a ride, did he?
I don't know. I saw my bus come and made a run for it.
Was there anything else you can tell us about these men that might help? Anything at all? Any little thing you might remember?
Gee, not that I can remember. I didn't really pay a lot of attention to them. Just a couple of guys sitting next to us. One of them lent me his pen.
Well, how about the pen? With any initials on it?
No. It was the tall guy, the one with the scar. He loaned it to me. It was one of those plastic things, you know, with a figure that disappears when you turn upside down?
Mm-hmm, I know the kind you mean.
I noticed it because I thought it was kind of cute. Anyway, it was put out by a Venetian blind company. It had the name right on it.
Can you remember the name?
Let me see. Rogers. Rogers Blind Company.
All right, fine. Here's our card. If you remember anything else, we'd appreciate a call.
Sure thing. Say, you fellas going out to Rogers?
Yes, sir.
I kind of hate to ask.
Yes, sir.
You pick up one of those pens for me?
$11:35 p.m. We called the office, and they told us that Iverson's car had been found abandoned up on Wonderland Drive in Laurel Canyon. It was taken to the police garage and impounded. The crime lab had gone over the car for fingerprints, and in eliminating the prints of the people known to have been in the car and friends of Iverson, they'd come up with one unidentified print. As remote as it was, the lead about the pen had to be checked out. We called the Rogers Blind Company, and the night watchman gave us the home phone number of the personnel manager. We called him, and he agreed to meet us at the plant. We gave him the description of the man who had talked to Iverson outside of the bar, and he was able to identify him as a Peter Standish, a former salesman with the company. He recognized Standish from the description of the scar, but he was unable to tell us the name of the other man. The personnel manager furnished us with Standish's last known address, but he'd moved and left no forwarding address. Frank and I went back to the office and ran the name through R&I. Standish had a record of 2 arrests on suspicion of 211 PC, one of them only a month before. Sergeants Hanson and Cummings drove out to the General Hospital to show a mugshot of Standish to Martin Weber. He positively identified the suspect as the man he'd seen talking to Iverson on the night of the murder. We checked with Dean Bergman and Leighton Prince. The fingerprint found in the car matched perfectly with the prints of Standish. Frank and I drove out to the last address on the suspect's arrest report. The manager of the apartment told us that he'd gone out a few minutes before. She told us that there was another man living in the apartment with Standish, and the description she gave tallied closely with the one we had of the man seen with Standish in the bar the night of the murder. She informed us that he was registered under the name of Charles Teal. In the company of the manager, we made a search of the suspect's apartment, but we found nothing. We asked the manager not to give any indication that we were in the apartment, and she agreed to cooperate. We settled down to wait. An hour went by, an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yes, well, I'm getting tired of it, Teal. Every night the same thing, dragging you out of some crummy bar. You don't knock it off, I'm going to get myself another boy. Not only that, but I'm getting sick of...
Let's hold it right there.
Cops, lousy,
All right, hold it, mister. Hold still.
Fuzz, crummy fuzz. I had to walk right into it.
How's the other one, Frank?
He's out.
Want to shake him down?
Yeah. What do you want with me, cop? I done nothing. You got nothing to hold me for?
He's clean, Joe. So's the other one.
We got plenty, Standish. Let's go.
What? What you got on me?
Murder, mister.
Murder me? You're crazy. You're off your rocker.
Yeah, sure. All right, Frank?
I'm getting him up. Come on, boy.
I told you, Standish. I told you to get him. Shut up,
All right, let's hold it right there, mister. Don't make any more problems.
It was him. He did it. I didn't want to. It was his idea. I'll tell you all about it.
Should have known not to trust you, Teal. Look what you got me into.
We only wanted his money. He wouldn't give it to us. Standish kept trying to hit him with that piece of cement. I tried to make him stop.
You try to stop me splitting the dough. You got more than half.
Don't worry about it.
What do you mean?
We'll split this one even.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 4th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 86, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, as we told you earlier, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. That same Fatima quality is the reason why king-size Fatima continues to grow in popularity among smokers everywhere. Try them and see if you don't agree with me. That Fatima gives you an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Next time you buy cigarettes, look for the bright sunny yellow pack and ask for king-size Fatima.
Peter James Standish and Charles Edward Teal were tried and convicted of robbery and murder in the first degree. They were sentenced to life imprisonment. They're now serving their term in the state penitentiary, San Quentin, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ken Patterson, Gwen Delano, Jack Crucian. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
King Size Fatima has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Friday, hear the Mario Lanza Show over NBC.
Sunday at 8:30, and CBS brings you Jeff Regan, Investigator, starring Frank Graham as Regan, with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. So stand by for mystery and suspense and adventure in tonight's transcribed story, A Fire for Romano.
It started with a little man with deep wrinkles in his forehead and troubles on his mind. Then there was a kid traveling fast in a hot rod. And then there were two women. One who didn't deserve to die, but did. And another one who did deserve to die, but didn't. It was a sunny, healthy Chamber of Commerce Tuesday that I wandered into my boss, the Lyon's office. Got a surprise. No Anthony J. Lyon. Then I remembered he was on vacation. Yeah, it's made it look like an even sunnier, healthier Tuesday. Let's see, the beach or the track or... That was before the door opened right behind me, and the aforementioned little man with wrinkles walked in.
Mr. Regan?
Huh?
You are Mr. Regan, the detective?
Yeah, I am.
Please, Mr. Regan, I need your help. Could you help me?
I'm afraid I didn't get your name.
I am Romano. Elio Romano.
Well, sit down, Mr. Romano.
Thank you.
Well...
What'd you say, Mr. Regan?
Very nice fit. What? What's that? Oh, just the chair. Fits pretty good.
The chair fits?
Yeah, my boss is on vacation. I'm just trying out his chair.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Yeah. Suppose you tell me about your problem. You're needing help, Mr. Romano.
Oh, yes, Mr. Regan. It's true. I do need help. My store. It's my store.
Store.
I have a smaller grocery store. It's on the 6th Street. It's my own little store, and I'm very
Romano,
proud.
What about the store?
Oh, such a nice little place where people may buy food. We got everything, my Maria and I. We are the proprietors of this store. We also own it.
Fine. Now, what about...
It's called the Romanos. We have a big new neon sign. My someone is trying to destroy my store.
Now we're making headway. Tell me about the someone.
I don't know this is someone. If I should get my hands on them...
Somebody breaks windows?
No. They tried to burn it down. They tried to burn my store.
When?
Last week, Thursday.
Did you call the police?
Yes.
And then what?
Well, they said there was an accident. They said I did this to my own store. Ma questa è una cosa che... Oh, mamma mia.
And you're sure it was no accident?
Mr. Regan, would I destroy the one thing Maria and I have given our lives to make? Would I so much as harm a single little glass window? No, I would not.
Where'd the fire start?
In the back room where the cans are stored.
What time of day?
Night. It was at night. My Maria and I, we sleep above the store. My Maria smelled the smoke, and together we put out the fire before the damage could become great.
Mm-hmm. That's the only time it happened?
No. The day before that, I found a light match in the waste basket. It was just as I was closing for the night. Well, I stopped this one very quick.
2 nights in a row. You're right, Romano. Doesn't look very accidental.
Oh, believe me, Mr. Regan, I would never do this to my store. Never.
Okay, Romano. I believe you. Suppose you and I run out there. Take a look. The little man with the wrinkled brow got in the car beside me, and we drove out 6th Street, past Alvarado, past Union. We parked in front of a small grocery store with a big neon sign over the door. Sign said very proudly, Romano's. And my client, Romano, glanced at it, nodded approvingly, and we walked in.
Elio, you're back safely.
That foolish woman. Of course I'm back safely.
And this is Mr. Regan, the detective.
See. Mr. Regan, my wife, Maria. You're a very foolish woman.
Elio, twice said too much.
How do you do, Miss Romano?
What a pig of a husband. If you worry about him and he says so, he call you foolish. If you do not worry about him, he say you don't care.
Maria, Mr. Regan is going to help us. He promised he will help us.
You told him everything, Elio.
Maria, please.
Everything, Elio. You promised me you would tell Mr. Regan everything.
See.
Well?
Suppose you tell me, Mrs. Romano.
See, Maria. Suppose you tell me.
Elio. Mr. Regan, in the first place, you must know that we do not have much money.
See, very little, Mr. Regan.
In the second place, you must know we do not have many friends.
See, very few.
Now, we'll work out the money later, Miss Romano. Tell me about the friends now.
Maria, tell me.
We believe certain things, Mr. Regan. We run our business our own way, and no one can tell us otherwise.
We believe in being our own boss.
Mm-hmm. That's why you have very few friends?
See, that is why.
Mr. Regan, please, come with me. Right away, I'll show you where the fires start. Please, come with me.
Romano led me into a small back room behind the counter. There were shelves filled with canned goods and paper cartons. He showed me the wastepaper basket near the door. Easy to toss a match in through the window above it that opened onto the alley. There were a few charred pieces of wood here and there, but very little damage had been done. Still, if everything Romano said were true, it didn't look like an accident. It was while he was pointing out the burnt wood that a customer came in the front door. I moved over toward the doorway and listened.
Well, we'll see about that when I tell my neighbors.
It was then that things began to get interesting. I looked out. Plump, smug-looking woman, carrying a heavy purse, her eyes glaring behind rimless glasses.
That's your idea, eh? To force as many people in here as you can? Well, there certainly must be some law against people like you. Please, Mrs. Wilson. I just wanted to make sure, that's all. And I must say I got what I came for.
What was that all about, Mrs. Romano?
Oh, Mr. Regan, you heard.
Maria, what has she said to you?
Quiet, Romano.
Mr. Regan is right, Elio. It was enough.
It didn't sound like nothing, Mrs. Romano. What'd she mean by tell my neighbors?
No, we will not talk of it.
See, we will talk of it. Mr. Regan, this woman, this is Mrs. Wilson. She used to be our best customer. Then she turned on us. She tells all her friends not to come to our store.
Why?
Why? Because who knows why?
Oh, you have started it. Now you will finish, Elio. She does not buy from us because we would not let her tell us how to run our store.
See.
That's all there is to it?
See.
When did this start?
A week ago.
Oh. Same time the fires started.
See, the same... But, Mr. Regan, you don't think...
You hired me to think, Romano. I'll see you later.
Mr. Regan, where you going?
To talk to Mrs. Wilson. If I moved fast, I could find Mrs. Wilson. If I could find her, I could talk to her. She had answers, plenty of them. Plenty more than the Romanos gave her credit for. And then I saw her, a block away, walking fast. I followed. Around the corner, she turned up a walk and disappeared into a two-story apartment house. I was right behind her. The mailbox out front said 208, and when I got there, the door was just closing. A knock.
Yes?
Could I talk to you for a minute?
Young man, if you're selling
I'm not
something...
selling anything.
Then what do you want?
Just a couple of questions, Mrs. Wilson, about the Romanos.
Oh, so that's your game, is it? You're trying
I'm
to
not
tell
trying
me...
to tell you anything. We'd just better talk now, for your own good.
You go back and tell those people we don't want them around here. We don't want them in our neighborhood. Is that clear?
That's as good a place to start as any. Now we'll just...
Oh, no, you don't. You're not coming in without a warrant. I knew you were a policeman right away. They called you, those Romanos. Just like them to take advantage of our Constitution. But I know my rights as a citizen.
Lady,
I haven't broken any laws, you understand? It's them that cause all the trouble, them. And we don't want their kind around here. Now, good day.
So I had nothing after all. I got in my car, drove down toward police headquarters. It wasn't that easy. Because behind me, starting at Alvarado, was a yellow Model A Ford. A yellow hot rod, and it wasn't behind me by accident. It stayed there 2 blocks, 10 blocks, 20. And whoever sat behind the wheel didn't care if I knew it. He stayed that way until we reached a block without traffic, and then suddenly the yellow car gunned up in the rearview mirror. And I could see a young kid hunched angrily over the steering wheel, and there wasn't any doubt about what a kid like that had on his mind or what he was going to do. He moved the car up close, next to mine, and yelled something angry kids yell, and suddenly his yellow coupe shot out ahead and cut into me. Like I figured. He tried to run me off the street onto the sidewalk. Now the yellow coupe was just a blur in the distance. I pulled off from the curb, eased into gear, and took my time driving to the police station. The police told me to check with the arson squad. The arson squad told me to check with the sergeant. And to make a rotten day just that much rottener, the sergeant turned out to be a guy I knew, named Bowles.
All right, what do you want, Regan?
Transferred from homicide, Bowles?
I don't need any of your lip today, Regan. I'm busy. What do you want?
You handle the Romano investigation?
Romano? Who's that?
It's the poor guy who happens to own a grocery store.
Romano. Yeah, I checked it out last week.
Find anything?
Sure. Scared little guy ought to watch where he tosses his matches.
That's all you could find.
When I want your advice, I'll ask for it.
Give, Bowles. I'm busy today myself.
Times must be tough, huh, Regan? You're taking a fee from a
Answer me, Bowles.
Okay. The guy had a fire. Know what caused it? Matches. Know the total damage? $10. Now, Regan, if you think we got enough men to stake out a too big...
Ever hear of putting out a fire before it starts, Bowles? You wouldn't have heard that.
I told you we haven't got enough men, Regan. Sure, we'd like to prevent it. Okay. But you need men, Regan. We haven't got them.
Okay, Bowles. What have you got?
There's no evidence of outside work.
Meaning what?
No evidence that anybody else started it, Regan.
Spell it out, Bowles.
Sure, I'll spell it out. Maybe somebody did start the fire on purpose. You know who'd gain by that, Regan? No, don't guess. Let me tell you. A character named Romano.
Bowles, if you think...
I didn't set it up, Regan. Somebody else did. For your information, this client of yours, Romano, has his grocery store well covered. You know what they call it, Regan? Fire insurance. Lots of fire insurance.
And that's what I got from Sergeant Bowles. I left the station, drove down to a chop house on 3rd Street, had myself a big dinner, and tried to think. Only it wasn't that easy. Ideas would fit together during the salad and go to pieces during the steak. By the time I got to dessert, it was anybody's guess. I paid the blonde waitress and drove out 6th Street, watching the streetlights go on and hoping one of them would shed some light on the problem. But when I got past Alvarado, I didn't have time to think. I stepped on the gas, drove faster, into streets becoming crowded, alive, into confusion and fire engines, into shouts and smoke. A man in a fire helmet directed me over to the side of the road, and I parked and got out and walked into the excitement and confusion and heat, and into a sweaty, curious, open-collared, open-mouthed, hot-eyed, staring mob, and there were shouts all around me. Hey, Joe. Hey, Edna. Hey, Pete. Come take a look. Romano's, the grocery store, burning down.
This is CBS, and you are listening to tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator, entitled A Fire for Romano.
A little man named Romano had hired me to find out who tried to burn down his grocery store, and I'd met an irate customer, an overworked cop, and a kid in a hot rod. Now I was back on 6th Street, back at Romano's little store, and there was a mob of excitement-hungry people yelling and cheering and shouting, while flames licked up the store walls and around the big new neon sign Romano had proudly shown me. And I was moving into the mob, trying to get closer, when a big burly man covered with soot and sweat shoved me aside.
Hey, stand back, will you please, mister?
Have you seen the owner?
Too many people to see anything, mister. Out of my way.
The big fireman moved on, and I followed him, letting him clear a path through the spectators, and up ahead, I could see another big man. This one I knew.
Stand back there. Oh, Regan.
Rand, have you seen Romano, the owner?
What's he look like?
A little guy, dark hair, mustache.
Out of control, Regan. I haven't seen anybody. Better...
Fire Chief Rand's shouts were lost in the crowd behind me as I moved and shoved and pushed my way around to the side of the burning grocery store. Somewhere in there was my client, Romano, and his wife, Maria. And then, stumbling out through the smoke, came a fireman. And he was dragging a man, a little man, coughing, spitting, screaming. It was Romano.
Easy. This is the man you were looking for, mister.
Maria, let me go, please. Let me go.
Romano, it's me, Regan.
Let me go in the name of God. Please let me go, Maria. I must get to my Maria.
You take him, mister. I'll go back for her.
Right, I got him.
Regan. Mr. Regan, where is she? They left my Maria.
Take it easy, Romano. They'll get Maria.
They must have saved her. I'm going to get to Maria. I'm going to get...
I pulled the little man away from the smoke and heat and people and stretched him out on the pavement. In a few minutes, his breathing became regular and the coughing stopped, and he slept. And 10 minutes after that, the big fireman came out with Maria and placed her on the pavement beside her husband. Only Maria wasn't coughing or breathing. She was dead. The ambulance took Maria and Romano away. The fire hissed steam where the firemen's hoses poured gallons of water. And soon even the crowd had lost interest. And only the hissing steam and smoke filled the cavity that had been Romano's grocery store. Fire Chief Rand came over to me.
Did you find him, Regan, that man you were looking for?
Yeah, Rand. I found him.
He okay?
Yeah. Yeah, he'll be all right. Not his wife.
Oh, sorry to hear that, Regan. We did the best we could.
I know. Rand, what started it?
I was just checking. So far, nothing conclusive.
You think it was an accident?
No. Went too fast. This one was planned, Regan.
Pyromaniac.
I'm not too sure. The nuts usually stick around. Watch it. They get their kicks that way.
Check the crowds?
We always check the crowd. Nothing certain yet.
Okay, Rand. Thanks.
Regan, when you see Romano, tell him we did our best.
I left Rand examining the charred scraps of what was left of Romano's grocery store. I walked down the street, thinking, putting the twos with other twos and trying to make fours. And then I saw something up ahead, and I forgot about the twos and fours and moved faster. It was a yellow Model A Ford parked 3 blocks from the scene of the fire, sitting quiet, docile, far from the nearest streetlight. I got to it, started to look in. It was the car that had tried to run me off the street. It was...
Get away from there, mister.
I turned, saw a kid. The kid who'd driven the car into me. In his right hand, a revolver.
Come on, get away from it.
You like guns.
They get me things. Come on.
You also like matches.
Shut up.
You also like killing people.
Right!
He blinked when I said killing, and I drove across the sidewalk at his knees, and we went down together, rolling on the pavement and digging for the gun. And it was anybody's weapon until I felt the cold steel of it pressing between us. Saw the barrel moving up under my chin. Heard the report. Kid was gone. And I was holding a sticky, damp spot above my left ear, and when I pulled my hand away, it too was sticky and damp. I got up, rocked unsteadily on my feet, stumbled down to my car. I reached for the ignition, pushed the starter, and decided to wait. Voices and faces, and voices and lights, and a big blank wall to stare at. I waited, not being sure, and then I opened my eyes, and the blank wall was the ceiling, and the face was Sergeant Bowles. Who said it was just a scratch?
Lay down.
What's going on around here?
Said lay down. You want to hurt something or something?
Bowles, your humor stinks. Where are we?
Georgia Street Receiving.
Huh?
Only why Rand had bothered...
Rand brought me here.
He found you in your car. You were out. Way out.
Romano. Is he okay?
Yeah, he's okay.
His wife, Maria. Does Romano know?
Yeah, he knows.
Bowles.
Yeah?
You still figure Romano burned his own store down?
Shut up.
Like you said, Bowles, who would gain but Romano? Who, Bowles, who?
Okay, so I was wrong, okay? We did our best.
After the crime. What did you do before it happened, Bowles?
Slow down, Regan. You're racing your motor. Besides, suppose you answer a couple of questions.
Okay. Just ask me. Bowles asked me, and I told him. And he folded his notebook and he walked out. I got up, checked my legs and the bandage over my left ear, glanced down the hospital corridor, and walked out. 30 minutes later, the cab let me off where I'd last seen that yellow coupe, and I began to check garages. And the first one I checked was behind the apartment building where Mrs. Wilson lived. And I got nothing. 30 minutes after that, I'd covered her side of the block and was on the last apartment across the street. 4 garages, side by side. First, Chevy. Second, Dodge. Third, Ford. Not a new one. It was a coupe like the yellow one I was looking for, only this was black. Shiny black. Shiny black. That was worth something. I moved into the dark garage and looked closer at that Model A and reached out and touched the shininess and brought my finger back fast. Sticky. Wet. Newly painted.
What are you doing back here?
Short, fat, with a flashlight beam in my eyes.
Come on, speak up. What's your business?
Turn off your light.
Not a chance, mister. I'm on
I said turn it off.
Hey!
Whose car is this?
None of your business.
I said whose car?
This is my property, mister. You...
Stop!
It ain't my place to give out information on my tenant.
Oh, the owner lives in your apartment?
Well,
Does he?
Well, I rent that garage, mister. $5 a month.
But the guy who owns the car doesn't live here?
It ain't no guy, mister. Woman pays the bill.
A woman? A plump woman, wears rimless glasses.
Yeah.
Her name's Wilson. Mrs. Wilson.
Hey, that's...
Thanks.
Hey, you ain't got no right to ask me questions.
I moved around the building, across the street, double time. Double time up the stairs, up to the place I'd been earlier in the afternoon. It was late now, very late. But whether she liked it or not, Mrs. Wilson was getting a caller. I leaned on the buzzer, stayed on it. And midnight or not, Mrs. Wilson was going to answer if it took me home.
What's the meaning of this? The very idea... Oh, it's you. Well, see here.
I'm coming in, Mrs. Wilson.
I won't have this, you. I'm calling the manager. That's what I'm going to do.
I'm coming in, Mrs. Wilson.
You policemen have no right to disturb peace-loving citizens.
I'm not the police, Mrs. Wilson.
You're not the police? Well, in this case...
Not this time.
Get out of my house, do you hear? Get out of...
Shut up.
And what do you want?
Your son. If he is your son.
You're playing crazy. My son is out of town.
Really?
He's been gone since yesterday. He's visiting his aunt.
That right.
He left on the train for Santa Barbara. That's where my sister lives. Tommy left yesterday morning.
Tell me about Tommy.
He's a good boy. There's nothing he's done wrong. What right have you got?
What right have you got covering up a murder?
Murder?
Sure, murder, Mrs. Wilson. When your kid set fire to Romano's store, somebody was killed. The law can call that manslaughter, Mrs. Wilson, but you and I know it's murder.
You're lying. You're making
Why,
it up.
Mrs. Wilson? That's all I want to know. Why? Why did you knowingly let your kid set fire to that store? What kind of a distorted brain...
You shut up! What those people got, they deserved. We don't want their kind in this neighborhood. We've got our rights.
Who's we?
Citizens. Real American citizens.
Oh, Romano's not, is that it?
There's no place here
I think I'll just look around, Mrs. Wilson.
Where are you going?
Look around. Something brought this business to a boil.
You stay out of there!
Ah, I wasn't going in. But since you made a point of it. Kitchen.
You get out of here.
Now, why would you care if I looked in your kitchen, Mrs. Wilson? Interesting. Very interesting.
You've got no right to come in
Coffee,
here and...
sugar, soap. Lots of it. Let's see. Say about 24 cans of coffee. A couple of cases of soap. And there's a sugar there.
I paid for it. It's my right to buy what I want. Romano can't tell me what I'm supposed...
Romano tried to tell you how much you could buy.
No dirty, filthy foreigner is going to tell me what I
That's
can...
right. You're an American. A real patriotic American.
Right.
The Constitution says you've got a right to buy as much as you want any time you want. You've got your rights. Remember, you're telling me that.
So I'll thank you to keep your nose
Your
out of
kind
my
belongs
business.
behind bars, Mrs. Wilson.
What?
Your kind can't eat off the same table with Romanos. Your kind belongs out back in a pig pen, where you can wallow in your soap and coffee and sugar and greed.
How dare you?
Get back with the pigs, Mrs. Wilson. Somebody left a loophole in the Constitution.
Why?
Stand right where you are, mister.
Well, that makes it complete.
Oh, Tommy. Oh, my
Why, Tommy?
I thought I stopped you once, mister.
Oh, he said such horrible things, Tommy. He said such terrible things.
I won't be saying much when I get through with him.
When you get through with what?
Oh.
Haven't you killed enough for one night?
Killed?
Mrs. Romano's dead. Dead from the smoke and flames and hate your mother cooked up.
Oh, no. I wasn't going to kill her.
Sure, just a little fire. Burn them out of the neighborhood. It's your mother's idea.
Oh, Tommy, don't let him talk to me that
Sure,
way.
they always start that way. Just a little hate. But it builds, doesn't it, kid? Starts with a fist, ends up with guns, lots of them.
But, Tommy...
I didn't mean...
Go on, shoot, kid. Make the neighborhood safe for Americans. Your mother's kind of Americans. Kind that breeds hate and greed and gets fat doing it.
Tommy, make him stop.
Shoot, kid. Go ahead, prove she's right. That you can kill because you're special like she is.
Tommy!
Give me that gun.
The gun.
Gun. Thanks. There must be something in the Constitution that fits you, Mrs. Wilson. And there was. Murder, arson, whatever you want to call the crimes of Mrs. Wilson. You might say she was fighting for a fifth freedom. The freedom of grab. And she won. The right to spend the next few years grabbing the bars of her own private cell. The next morning, I checked in down at the office of my boss, Anthony J. Lamb. Empty. Anthony J. on vacation. Way up in the mountains, breathing fresh air, living the hard, rugged life. Fishing, hunting, getting next to nature. And doing good. Thought about that as I sat down in his big swivel chair. Anthony J. Lyon, Detective Bureau. Regan speaking.
I have a long-distance call for a Mr. Jeffrey Regan from Mr. Lyon in Mammoth Lakes, California.
Okay, I'm Regan.
The call is collect. Will you accept the charges?
What else? Okay, operator.
Jeffrey! Is that you, Jeffrey?
Lyon, how's the fishing?
What's that? Oh, terrible connection. I can't hear a thing.
I said, how's the fishing?
Fishing? Oh, yes. Fine. Wonderful. Spend every minute out on the lake. Open air. Exercise. Just a minute, Jeffrey. Certainly I'm in for $5. Deal, Charlie. Yes, really roughing it, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yes, generally fine weather. Just what I needed. All this outdoor exercise. Pardon me, Jeffrey. These fishermen keep asking advice. I've got aces over queens. Sorry, gentlemen. My part again. That's why I called you, Jeffrey.
Fish biting that good, huh?
Biting? I've never seen so many suckers, fish in my life. You practically have to fight them off. Jeffrey, this exercise is doing me so much good.
Yeah, Lion.
Do you mind if I stay another week?
Jeff Regan, Investigator, is written tonight by William Frug, produced and directed by Sterling Tracy, and stars Frank Graham as Regan with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. Original music is by Dick Arant. Jeff Regan, Investigator, is heard transcribed each week at the same time over CBS. Bob Stevenson speaking, and inviting you to be with us again next Sunday at 8:30 for more suspense and mystery and adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, king size, extra mild and soothing, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to forgery detail. Several small neighborhood businessmen are being victimized by a check forger. His method of operation is an old one, but the merchants continue to be swindled. Your job, get him. Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality.
Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
Switch to Fatima yourself today.
Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, July 22nd. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of forgery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was on the way into work, and it was 7:50 a.m. when I got to room 29. Forgery detail.
Morning, Joe.
Frank, how's it going?
Well, what'd I tell you?
What do you mean?
Well, what'd I say just last night when we signed out?
I don't know. What did you say?
You remember.
Well, look, Frank, it's been a hot night. Looks like today's going to be hotter. No guessing games, huh?
Well, that's just it. It was hot, just like I told you last night.
Well, all right. You convinced me. I don't get it, but it's okay.
Joe, I told you yesterday. Must have said it 5 or 6 times at least. Earthquake weather. That was the last thing I said to you before we went home. Earthquake weather.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I guess you'll believe me now, huh? This is what they call earthquake weather.
Well, look, we're not going to go through all that again, are we?
Well, Joe, you felt it, didn't you?
Well, sure I felt it. Everybody did. That hasn't put any more foundation under that old wives' tale of yours.
You ought to believe it now if you never did before. I tell you, Joe, in this kind of hot and muggy weather, you get earthquakes.
All right, you win. What about last July? We didn't have any then, do we?
Well, not every year, no, but that doesn't change it. All earthquakes hit in this kind of weather, Joe.
Oh, yeah, sure they do. Now, you tell them that up at Berkeley, you're going to change the whole seismograph theory, Frank.
Well, they can't tell you when you're going to get one, only how bad it was after it hits. That's what we need up there, Joe, some kind of a gadget to tell us when.
Well, why worry? You can tell from the weather.
Excuse me, am I in the right place? Is there an Officer Smith around here?
Yes, sir, I'm Frank Smith. What can I do for you?
My name's Martin Miller. I run Marty's Mart at 6th and Benson.
Beg your pardon?
Marty's Mart, little grocery store at 6th Street on the corner of Benson.
Oh, yes, sir.
Mr. Arms from the bank sent me up to see you.
Yeah, sure. This is my partner, Sergeant Friday, Mr. Miller.
How are you, Mr.
Yeah,
Miller?
how you doing?
Arms over at the B of A called just before you got in, Joe. Said he was sending Mr. Miller over to see us.
Why don't you have a chair, Mr. Miller? Here.
Joe, Arms says that somebody's forging Mr. Miller's checks.
Your personal checks, sir?
No, sir, my business checks. Marty's Mart, 6th and Benson.
Let's see if we have this right, Mr. Miller.
Yes, sir.
According to Arms, there have been 7 checks passed. They were all passed last Saturday night. Is that correct?
That's what he told me, yes, sir. That's why I come down to see you, but that's not quite all.
How's that, sir?
Well, you see, as soon as I talked to the bank and I found out that somebody was forging my checks, I went home and told the wife about it.
Yes, sir.
Well, the bank tells me the man who's been doing the dirty work's a fellow by the name of Roger Theodore or something like that.
Yes, that's right. That's the way we have it here.
Oh, you know this man? You got him arrested already?
Well, no, sir. I mean, that's what Mr. Arms over at the bank told us.
Oh, yeah, sure. I didn't think you boys would move that fast. That'd be pretty fast work there.
Now, you say there were 7 checks of yours that this Theodore's forged, is that right?
No, sir, that's all the bank knows about. The wife and I did a little detective work on our own.
Is that right?
You bet we did. Emma and me went through our checkbook, and guess what?
Yes, sir.
You say 7, me and Emma say 14.
Well, how do you mean, sir?
14, that's how it come for you.
Well, how do you mean 14?
Well, the bank's only found 7 of them, but he actually stole 14 of our business checks.
Well, you say you found that out after looking at your checkbook?
Yes, sir. Got the figures right here in my vest pocket. Let's see here. Numbers 7,020 to 7,033 inclusive. That makes 14 checks missing all told.
Well, how do you think the theft occurred, sir?
You stole them right out of the back part of the checkbook. Didn't think nobody'd find that out.
No, sir. What we mean is, how did the thief gain access to your checks? Do you leave them out in the open where people could get at them?
Well, they're in a plain black-covered book. Emma always makes out the checks most of the time. When she's through, she generally leaves them down underneath the counter in with a size 12 paper bags. That way we always know where to find it. You know, a place for everything, so on.
Mm-hmm. About when do you think the theft occurred, would you know?
Well, it'll be kind of hard to tell as to the exact time.
Well, when did you say you and your wife first noticed they were missing?
This morning, right after we talked to the bank man. That's when I got the idea to go through the checkbook. My wife didn't think so much of the idea, but she found out I was right.
Well, would you have any idea at all as to who might have taken the checks? Anyone suspicious loitering around your store or anything like that?
No, I don't believe so. Ellen and I know most of the people around our neighborhood. But I wouldn't think any of those folks would do a thing like this.
Well, how about some transients? Somebody might have come in the store that you never saw before?
No, nobody I can recall.
You live in the back of the store, Mr. Miller?
Yeah, how'd you guess that? Say, you fellas are real good.
I was just wondering, sir, would it be possible somebody could have broken in during the night?
No, sir, not a chance. No, we could have told that.
Well, how about when you and your wife have lunch? Is it possible that you might leave the store unattended for short periods while both of you are in the back, maybe?
Say, that's right. You ever run a store?
No, sir.
Hey, George, that just could have happened, all right. Me and Emma lots of times duck in the back and sit down and grab a bite of lunch or a little cut of Tillamook cheese on a cracker, you know.
Yes, sir.
Hey, George, I'll bet that's what it could have happened, all right.
Do you figure the checks were taken in the last month, or about when, would you say?
Well, let's see. Must have been sometime during the last couple of weeks, if memory serves. That's about when we received our new checkbooks. Last couple of weeks. That must be it.
I see. Well, we want you to give the stenographer a full report of this, sir.
Here, Frank, I got the approval slip all made out. Now, if you'll be kind enough to take this slip down to room 23, the stenographer will take your report.
Oh, thank you very much.
We appreciate you coming in, Mr. Miller. We'll keep you informed of the developments of the case. Here's our card. If you hear anything, appreciate you giving us a call.
Well, fine. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
You say you'll keep me informed of what happens on this thing?
Yes, sir, that's right.
Say, maybe you better talk to Emma when you call the store. That's my wife.
Well, yes, sir. Won't you be there?
Oh, I'll be there all right, but she'd like to have you call her.
Well, how's that, sir?
Well, it's about them other missing checks.
Yes, sir.
I told you it was my idea.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was hers.
9:30 a.m. Martin Miller went down the hall to make his report. Frank and I checked the name Roger Theodore through our files and also through R&I, but there was no record on him. 10:02 a.m. We checked with the head cashier at the bank where Miller had his checking account. The cashier was unable to let us see the forged checks, explaining that they'd been sent back to the people who had deposited them. However, he was able to give us a list of the firms that had taken in the bad checks. They were all large supermarkets in the central Hollywood area. He told us that the checks had varied in amount from $32.50 up to $78.97, and that each check was made out to a Roger G. Theodore, with the endorsement on the back of the check also by Theodore. 11:25 a.m. Frank and I drove out to a market at the corner of Franklin and Yucca. It was a big place with fruit stands along the front and large signs saying, "We never close."
What do you think we find the manager?
Probably in the back there. These places, most of them work on one of the check stands, don't they?
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Look at those Concord grapes. You ever seen so big? Sweet, too, I bet.
Yeah.
You ever figure out some way to grow them without seeds? They got it made.
Yeah.
Seeds always get stuck in my teeth. That the manager back there unpacking those cans, see, with a badge?
Yeah, that's my thing. Pardon me, are you the manager here?
Yeah, something I can do for you?
Yes, sir, police officers. My partner, Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
How do you do? My name's Giles, Mickey Giles.
We'd like to talk to you about that check you cashed for Roger Theodore.
Theodore?
Yes, sir. Now, according to the bank, you cashed a check last Saturday for $64.89 for a Roger Theodore. The check was drawn on the account of a Martin Miller.
Yeah, I remember now. You catch the bum? No, sir, not yet. We'd just like to ask you some questions. Sure. You don't mind if I go ahead with this stuff, do you? I got to get these cans stowed.
No, sir. Go ahead. Well, who cashed the check for you? Do you remember that?
Sure, I remember. Me. At least I okayed it. One of the cashiers called me over, said this guy wanted to cash a check, and would I okay it? I did. Can you describe the man? Sure can. When that check came back from the bank, I got to thinking about the crummy deal, remembered almost every word of the conversation. Of all the lousy snow jobs, that no-good bum really dished out a Lulu.
Yes, sir. How tall would you say the man was?
Maybe 5'10", 11, about 160 pounds. Said he worked for this grocery store, this Marty's... Marty Smart. Yeah, that's it. Said he worked down there. We talked about the grocery business. He told me how he wanted to start a place of his own. Tired of working for somebody else. Lousy trick.
Can you give us a further description of him?
Well, he was dark. Real dark, black, wavy hair. His eyes were almost solid black. Nice-looking kid. How old did you say he was, sir? 30, 31. Hard to tell. He was the kind of a guy who don't show his age too much.
Do you remember what time he came into the store?
Yeah, it was right after I announced the sale of day-old bread on the PA. That'd make it about 8:30 or 8:40. Always try to make it then so we won't be stuck with a lot of bread the next day. You know, get it off the shelves. It's not really a day old, but by the time these women get through squeezing it, it sure looks like it's been on the shelves a long time.
Well, are you in the habit of cashing checks here often, sir?
We never cash personal checks. Get stuck too often. We will cash payroll checks if a guy's got identification.
Theodore have identification?
Sure, had his driver's license.
Do you have the check now, sir?
Yeah, it's in the back. You want to see it?
Yes, sir. I'd like to if we can.
Sure thing. Hold on a minute. I'll get it for you.
All right. Driver's license might lead to something, huh?
Yeah. Doesn't figure to use his real name, though.
Here it is. You see right here in the corner, the driver's license number, W414626.
What was that again?
W414626. No, 26.
All right, thank you.
May I see that, sir?
Yeah, here.
Thanks. There's an endorsement on the back.
Like I said, I hope you catch a crummy bum. The dirtiest trick ever played.
Yes.
Comes in here, buys a pound of weenies, 52 cents on special, and a kosher dill. Grand total, 61 cents. Lousy deal.
Yes, sir. I wonder if we could take this check with us. We'd like to have our handwriting man get a look at it.
Sure, anything to catch that no good bum. Spend 61 cents and cons me into cashing his check for $64.89. It's not the weenies or the pickle that gripe me.
No, sir.
The thought of that guy spending $63 of my money someplace else.
Frank and I called the office and asked them to check with DMV for a make on the number of the driver's license that we'd found written on the check. 11:55 a.m., we began to canvass the other 6 stores where Theodore had passed bad checks. In each instance, the descriptions we were able to obtain varied little. All of the managers of the stores had described him as a dark man in his early 30s. In checking with the managers further, we found that all of the checks had been passed within a period of an hour and a half. From the addresses of the stores, we could almost trace the exact route the forger had taken in making his rounds. The victims all gave us the same story, that Theodore had made a small purchase, talked about the grocery business, and used his driver's license as identification to cash the check. 2:14 p.m., we checked back into the office. The teletype had come through from DMV up in Sacramento giving the particulars on the driver's license. The license was made out to a Roger George Theodore, 1082 Whitley Street, Hollywood. The description on the license, however, did not tally with the one that we'd gotten from the victims of the forgeries. We asked DMV to send a photostat of Theodore's license to us for handwriting comparison with the forged checks that we'd been able to collect. The stats office made a run for us on Theodore's M.O. The names that they gave us were checked out but led us nowhere. 4:47 p.m., Frank and I drove out to the address listed on Theodore's driver's license. It was a large brick apartment building with a white marble entrance. We didn't find the suspect's name in the mailboxes, so we rang the bell to the manager's apartment.
Yes.
Mrs. Rice?
That's right. Something I can do for you?
Police officers, ma'am. We'd like to ask you a few questions.
Police officers? Well, what's going on? Is something wrong?
No, Mrs. Rice. Just some routine questions about one of your tenants.
Oh. Well, in that case, come in.
Thank you very much.
If you're police officers, I suppose you have some sort of identification.
Yes, ma'am, we do. Here's my ID card. My name's Joe Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
Dear, I'm Violet Wright. Oh, but then you know that. Can't be too careful these days. Oh, what did you wanted to know about? I know almost all my tenants here. They all know me, too. Call them by their first names, and they call me Violet. I don't like formality. I never could stand it. Oh, speaking of stand, move that sewing onto the floor and sit down, young man.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Well, this is about Roger Theodore, Mrs. Rice.
Roger? Oh, yes. Well, what did you want to know about him? Him and his wife and me used to be great friends. Roger was a cartoonist, you know, worked for one of the studios in the valley. Pictures he used to draw. Just beautiful. I have some of them if you'd like to see them.
No, ma'am, not right now. We'd just like to know if Mr. Theodore lives here.
No, his wife moved out about 6 months ago. I'd have to get the rent receipts to be sure, but I think it was about 6 months ago. Moved down at the beach. Took it pretty hard, you know.
Yeah.
He took it pretty hard. Mrs. Theodore was so sudden.
What's that, Mrs. Rice?
When Roger died 6 months ago.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma. And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Yes, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos, the finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
quality, even to the appearance of the bright, sunny yellow pack, carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So next time, insist on Fatima quality. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Smoke Fatima, the extra mild and soothing king-size cigarette, with the added protection of Fatima quality.
The apartment house manager, Mrs. Rice, went on to tell us that Roger Theodore had caught a bad cold and that it had developed into pneumonia. She told us that his death had been very sudden and that his passing had hit his wife very hard. We questioned her about the other tenants in the building who were friendly with the Theodores, but she was able to add little information to what we already had. The description she gave us of Theodore matched the one we'd gotten from DMV up in Sacramento, but bore little resemblance to the one we'd obtained from the supermarket managers. She gave us the address of Mrs. Theodore's beach house. 7:12 p.m., Frank and I drove up to the residence, a small white house built out over the sand. The paint was peeling off of the shutters, and the window box in front was full of dead geraniums. Mrs. Theodore was a tall woman in her late 20s. She asked us in, and we talked to her. She kept looking at the clock over the fireplace.
What time have you got, Sergeant?
7:18, Miss Theodore.
Seemed it was earlier than that. Now, what was it you were asking about Roger?
Well, we were wondering if you could tell us how his driver's license could have been used as identification by someone else, ma'am.
No, I haven't the slightest idea.
Do you have his private papers, Mrs. Theodore?
Yes, most of them. They're in a strong box at the bank in town.
Would his driver's license be among those papers, perhaps?
I don't remember. I think so, but I can't be sure. It seems to me that I put them in the box. Just a minute.
All right, fine.
Just happened to think it might be in here. I put some of his things in here. Papers I didn't think were too important.
Yes, ma'am.
Here's his draft card, club membership card, and his personal business card. See, he drew a caricature of himself. He was very clever about things like that.
Yes, ma'am.
It's to me that I've seen his license someplace. No, it's not here.
Well, where did Mr. Theodore keep the license, ma'am?
He used to keep it out in the glove compartment of the car. Of course, I knew I'd seen it just a few days ago. It's in the glove compartment. That's where it is.
I wonder if we might see it, ma'am.
Surely. What time have you got, Sergeant?
At 7:20?
Thank you. It's turning cold all of a sudden.
Yes, ma'am. Fog's coming in.
We usually have it this time of year. Days have been so nice. Warm. That's funny.
What's that, ma'am?
I was sure it was here. Saw it just the other day. Now it's gone. And the other things, too.
Gone, ma'am?
Yes, the driver's license and the Social Security card. They were both in a little celluloid folder. Kept them together in here. It's funny.
Was it possible that you might have taken them out of the car?
No, I have no reason to. I hardly ever use the glove compartment. No, I'm sure they were here.
Well, maybe you picked something else up and the license came with it?
Maybe. Look through my purses. I might have picked them up.
Okay, fine.
It'll warm up a little. I'll build a fire tonight. Understand where that license might have gone. Have to ask Lloyd.
Lloyd?
Yes, I met him a few weeks ago on the beach. He came down to swim. We got to be very good friends. Kind of half expecting him to call tonight, but he would have called before this if he's going to. I'll get my purse.
Fine, thank you.
I'm sure, though, it was in the glove compartment the last time I saw it. Lloyd might have seen it when he borrowed the car.
He borrowed your car?
Yeah, last week. He said he was having his overhauled. I wasn't using mine, so I told him to take it. Very nice. Are you sure your watch is right, Sergeant?
Yes, ma'am. What day was it Lloyd took your car?
Last Friday or Saturday, one or the other. Nope, it's not here. I just don't know where it could have gone.
What does this Lloyd look like, Mrs. Theodore?
Lloyd, he's a nice-looking boy. Dark hair, dark eyes. Nice-looking boy.
About how old is he, ma'am?
Well, I never asked. I'd guess 30, 31.
Lloyd. Well, what's his last name, ma'am?
Stratton. Lloyd Stratton. Why are you asking all these questions about him? Has he done something? Is that it?
Well, we don't know, ma'am. Do you know where he lives?
Someplace in Hollywood. I don't know the number. He hasn't got a phone. I called information once. They didn't have a listing.
When was the last time you saw him, ma'am?
Monday. He came down to take a swim, and we talked. He must be mistaken, officers. He couldn't do anything dishonest, I know. But the last time he was here, he was a little short of cash. I offered him $50 to tide him over. He didn't want to take it, but I insisted. I didn't have enough to do it.
What's that, ma'am?
He wanted me to cash his payroll check.
We questioned Mrs. Theodore further, but she couldn't add anything to what she'd already told us. She was unable to give us the names of any of Stratton's friends, his relatives, or tell us where he might be employed. 7:46 p.m. Frank and I drove back to the office. We ran the name and description of Lloyd Stratton through R&I. They came up with several possible suspects. In the process of elimination, we were left with one name, Lloyd Stimpson, who had as one of many aliases the name Lloyd Stratton. His description tallied closely with the ones we'd gotten from the victims of the forgeries. His record showed him to be a two-time loser on parole from San Quentin at the present time. He'd been convicted both times for forgery. In checking the suspect's handwriting card, Don Meyer was able to tell us that the writing on the checks and the exemplars of the suspects were the same. We obtained mugshots of the suspect and drove out to check them with the victims. 9:22 p.m. We got to the market at the corner of Franklin and Yucca Streets, the manager's office.
Mr. Giles? Yes? Oh, you're the officers who were here this morning. You caught the guy yet, the one who forged that check?
No, sir, not yet. We'd like you to look at some pictures if you would.
Of the guy? You got pictures of him? Figures if you had pictures of him, you'd catch him.
Well, we think we know who he is, Mr. Giles, but we'd like you to check these pictures just to be sure.
Fine, glad to help. Trying to get that bum. Yes, sir. Here are the pictures, Mr. Giles. Good. Let me sit down here and get this stuff off my desk.
All right, fine. Now, just look through some of them, sir, and see if the man is there, if you would.
Yeah. Spread them out here. All right, playing solitaire. Look at that one. Mean-looking fellow, real criminal type. No, that's not him. No. Wait a minute.
Yes, sir?
This one. Right here. He's the guy. He's the one who cashed the check.
You sure, Mr. Giles?
I'm positive. That's him.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
It's all right, officers. Glad to help. This fella, Theodore.
His real name's Stimpson, Lloyd Stimpson.
Yeah, well, this Stimpson, he done this sort of thing before?
Sir?
Forged checks.
Well, yes, sir. He's been convicted twice.
How about that? Lousy thing. I wonder what he tells his friends when they ask.
What's that?
About his work. Probably tells them he writes for a living.
We checked with the other victims of the forgeries. We were able to get 3 more identifications of the suspect. The rest of the people involved couldn't be reached at the time. We contacted the suspect's parole officer, and he gave us his last known address, and he said that he'd give us whatever assistance he could in apprehending Stimpson, alias Stratton. In checking the address furnished by the parole officer, we found that the suspect had moved a week before and left no forwarding address. A local and an all-points bulletin was gotten out on Stratton. There were still 7 checks to be accounted for, and none of these had been reported to us as having been forged and passed. In addition to the local and the APB, we got out a special circular giving the description of the suspect, his picture, and a sample of the forged checks. It was distributed to all supermarkets and check-cashing agencies in the area. We requested that if the suspect attempted to cash one of the checks, forgery detail be notified at once, and, if possible, that he be delayed until we could pick him up. Since none of the checks had been reported since the previous Saturday night, it looked like the suspect might be waiting until the coming weekend to get rid of the other checks he had in his possession. During the following 3 days, we ran down several leads on the suspect, but none of them panned out. Saturday, July 26, 8:40 p.m. I got back to the office after seeing the one remaining victim.
That you, Joe?
Yeah. I just checked that place out on Melrose.
They making?
Yeah. Said Stratton was the guy that hung the paper on them last week.
Well, that's it then. All 7 of them check out.
Yeah. All the managers said they were positive. None of them had any doubt. Oh, it's hot out.
Yeah, hot and muggy.
Let's not go into that again, huh? Any word?
No, Joe. Everything's quiet.
If we figured it right, Stratton should make a try tonight, huh?
Figures he will, but I don't know, Joe.
Yeah?
Maybe he's figured the deal. Maybe he planned to hit them all one weekend, then leave town.
It's possible. If he got away with it once, chances are he'll try it again. I'll get it. Forgery, Friday. Yes, sir? Where? Yes, sir. What was that address again? Yes, sir. We'll be right out. All right, let's hustle it. Mark it out on Primrose.
Stratton?
Yeah, he's there now. The call had come from a large supermarket in the Hollywood area. From what the clerk had said on the phone, Stratton had made several purchases and then tried to cash a payroll check drawn on Marty's mark. The clerk had recognized him immediately and called us. When we walked into the market, one of the clerks motioned to us from a front counter.
Over there, Joe.
Yeah, there's no one at the stand.
Maybe he wouldn't wait.
You the cops? I made the call.
Yes, sir. We're police officers. Where is he?
Back there by counter 25. When I told him it'd be a few minutes before I could get the check okay, he said he'd look around. Maybe find something else he wanted.
Do you have the check?
Yes, sir, right here. You can see it's the same kind as the one on the circuit.
Yes, okay, sir. Thank you.
There won't be any trouble with him. I mean, getting him out of here.
Well, that depends on him.
I'll go around the counter, come up from the back.
All right. Mr. Theodore? You Roger Theodore?
Yes, you the manager here? I don't see what the problem is. It's a payroll check. If you don't want the business, there are other stores I can go to.
No, police officer, Mr. Stratton. I want to talk to you.
Certainly, but there's some mistake. My name's not Stratton, it's Roger Theater.
No mistake, mister. Let's go.
No.
Watch it, Joe. All right, hold it up, Stratton. Watch that cart, Joe. Outside. Get in the car, Joe. All right, hold it up, Stratton. Stay where you are.
Don't shoot. Don't shoot. I won't try anything. Don't shoot.
All right, out of the car, mister.
I'll shake him.
Oh, what's this all about? What are you trying to prove?
He's clean, Joe. Hands behind your back.
Want to check the car, Frank?
Yeah.
You won't find anything. There's nothing to find. A few groceries, that's all. Must be some kind of mistake.
No, I don't think so, Stratton. Frank, what do you got?
Looks clean, Joe. Just checking the seat covers.
You sure you got the right guy? You keep calling me Stratton. I told you my name's Theodore. Look, get my driver's license out of my pocket. It'll tell you who I am.
All right, let's come off it. We know who you are. We got your record and a dozen people to identify you.
Joe?
Yeah.
All these under the seat covers in the back. Checks from Marty's Mark. So what? No law against having a few blank checks, is there?
Only when you try to cash them.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 21st, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere. In Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness and a really different flavor and aroma. That's right. Fatimas are distinctive. In king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack.
Lloyd Harold Stimson, alias Lloyd Stratton, was tried and convicted of 7 counts of forgery. He is now serving his term in the state penitentiary. Forgery is punishable by imprisonment for a period of not less than 1, nor more than 14 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, lightning starts a few forest fires every year. But careless people cause many, many more. This shameful waste of one of our greatest natural resources weakens America. This holiday weekend, if you picnic or camp out, please be careful with fire. Be very sure your campfire is really out before you leave it. Remember, only you can prevent forest fires.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Herb Ellis, Cliff Arquette, Virginia Gregg. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
King Size Fatima has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Friday, hear the Mario Lanza Show over NBC.
The Bob Hope Show, transcribed direct from Hollywood with Les Brown and his band of renown. For Jello, yours truly, Bill Goodwin. Our singing star, Margaret Whiting. Our special guest, Jack Webb. And here he is, Bob Hope. Thank you very, very much. Well, here I am still going steady with Jell-O. I don't know what it is, but there's something about my personality that sells those 6 delicious flavors, especially lemon. I'm very happy to be here tonight. I've been keeping my fingers crossed all week with this flu that's going around. It's really an epidemic, you know. In fact, there's so much flu in show business that Phil Spitalny is advertising Evelyn and her magic thermometer. One doctor had so many cases of flu, he rented a helicopter and sprayed Pasadena with penicillin. And Jane Russell's got a slight cold. Doctors came from as far away as Alaska for the examination. I was right there with my stethoscope. I was hoping for a quarantine. And, you know, everyone thought Marie Wilson had the flu because she bought a couple of handkerchiefs with her to the studio. But it turned out they were her costume. She gets the flu now, she's really in trouble. And those cold germs are everywhere. On the Lawrence Welk show, that bubbling music is now done with Alka-Seltzer. I tuned in and heard Crosby singing the other night. I'm sure he's sick. And people are staying home on account of this epidemic. There's so few cars in the streets, it disrupted traffic on Sunset Boulevard. To have an accident now, you have to make an appointment. And I hear that Phil Harris is flat on his back. Of course, with Phil, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. It could just be hardening of the old Forester. Phil Harris really does have an ailment, you know. He has termites. He got them from breathing in too much sawdust. I got the sniffles and rushed to Hollywood Hospital last night, and I must have gotten in the wrong entrance. At 3 a.m, a nurse woke me up and said, "Congratulations, it's the 7-pound boy." But there's one sure remedy for flu. You drink a glass of hot lemon juice while breathing into a paper bag with a belladonna plaster on your back, and at the same time you inhale menthol in your nose while you keep your feet in a hot mustard bath. On second thought, it's easier just to go. My doctor told me to be very careful during this outbreak. He said to avoid everything that might pass germs from one person to another, even money. So I took his advice. I went out to Santa Anita. Going to Santa Anita is rough. It takes so much out of me. Santa Anita is sort of a garbage disposal with money. Santa Anita's in a beautiful setting. Mountains on one side, hock shops on the other. I haven't seen so much money go down the drain since Crosby luxed out his money belt. And it was really a big crowd out there. Santa Anita hasn't been affected much by inflation. They still have a lot of $2 windows, only now they're in the Coca-Cola machine. I have a system of betting, and I've never had to walk home yet, for one very good reason. There's no window where you can bet your car. I finally got a horse that could win a race. They let him run all by himself. And on the last race, I bet every cent I had. And my horse would have won, but he had a cautious streak in him. He followed along behind the other horses, yelling, "This is just reckless, fellas, going so fast in all this smog." Don McNeil. Say, Bill.
Yes, Bob.
Bill, what's that string tied around your finger for?
String? What string?
Oh, you mean this one here? That's to remind me to ask the folks in the audience a question.
Oh, what's the question?
I've forgotten. Would it have anything to do with Jell-O?
It's about Jell-O.
Well, who cares about getting their paycheck this week?
Who cares about Jell-O? Everybody cares about Jell-O, Bob, and I'll tell you something that folks like extra special. And that's those wonderful Jell-O salads. Which reminds me of my question.
And that is?
Folks, have you served a Jell-O salad?
Now we're going.
Have you served a Jell-O salad lately? If you haven't, your family is missing out on a real meal snapper-upper.
Real meal snapper-upper?
Yeah.
Bill, what kind of language is that? What you mean is that the crisp, refreshing flavor of a shimmering Jell-O salad is just the thing to add that piquant, delicate touch that transforms a run-of-the-mill dinner into a gourmet delight.
like I said, a real meal snapper-upper. And, folks, the Jell-O salad helps you avoid that last-minute rush at mealtime. Make it in the morning, set it in the refrigerator, and forget about it. And then when dinner time rolls around, there's no fuss or bother required. All you have to do is set that cool, colorful Jell-O salad on the table and let the family do the rest.
Yeah, and gals, you'd better get your own share early, because take my word for it, once the kids get at that Jell-O salad, man, it goes.
Well, they eat it all, huh?
Bill, my kids even eat the shimmer.
Well, take a hint, gals. Make a Jell-O salad for your family tomorrow. Voice you hear will be that of Jack Webb, star of Chesterfield's great radio and television series Dragnet. Tonight, in his role as Sergeant Joe Friday, he will take us step by step through the investigation of a criminal case.
It was Monday, January 20th. It was cool in Los Angeles, topcoat weather. I was working a day watch on a homicide. My name's Friday. The boss, Captain Kresnick, told me to expect a new partner. I don't know too much about this officer. He's just been transferred to the detective division. Supposed to be a hot shot. We'll see. 9:40 a.m. The door opened.
Anyone for criminals?
Who are you?
I'm Officer Hope. Captain Kresnick told me to report here. Are you Sergeant Friday?
That's right.
Well, we're detectives. Let's catch a crook. I got my badge, my blackjack, my handcuffs, my gun, and a bus ticket to San Diego.
Bus ticket to San Diego?
Yeah, in case of trouble, I'll go there till it blows over.
All right, sit down, Hope. Let's get acquainted.
Okay.
You know something? You look a lot like Bob Hope.
I can't help it. I was in an accident.
Now, it's a pretty fair patch-up job. Hope, where you been working in the department?
I was in uniform in the traffic detail.
That's all.
I was pretty good at it, too. I handed out 3,000 parking tickets a day.
3,000 a day? How could you do that?
I put the tickets on the cars before they left the factory.
Well, it sounds like you enjoy your work.
Yeah, I love being in the force. I've always been a cop.
Always?
Sure, the day I was born, the doctor slapped me, and I arrested him for assault and battery.
Well, now you're in the detective division.
Yeah, and I figure I ought to do pretty good. I can smell a crime a mile away.
Yeah, well, you sure got the equipment.
Think so.
Hope you might as well start learning about your new assignment.
Okay, Sergeant.
Now, in the police department, they refer to the detective division as the brains.
The brains, huh?
Yeah. How come you got transferred?
Well, it was kind of a reward. You see, I caught that bank bandit, Grandma.
No kidding. How'd you swing that?
Well, I found out she was hanging around a certain bar, so I went in there and slipped a Mickey in her Lydia Pinkham.
Nice work.
It was a real struggle taking her in. I got hurt.
You did, huh?
Yeah, I backed into one of her knitting needles. When I was questioning her, I had the feeling she kind of went for me.
Yeah, you'd make a lovely couple.
Well, I'm all through with romance.
What's the matter, no girlfriend?
I had a girl, went steady with her. For 3 years, we were never out of each other's sight.
In love?
No, I lost the keys of the handcuffs. Look, Friday, what are we sitting around here for? Let's get on a case. Let's go somewhere and snoop.
All right, take it easy. You'll get your chance.
I'm ready to. I've been practicing my jujitsu.
Pretty good at it, huh?
Good, I'm perfect. I even invented a jujitsu hold of my own. It's unbeatable. No matter what you try to do to me, I can throw you over my head right into that corner. Go ahead, make a pass at me. I'll show you.
Okay, here I come.
Well, don't just stand there. Pick me up.
Now, you listen, Hope. I don't mind you being a beaver, but there are a couple of things. I'll get it. Homicide Friday. Yeah. Yeah. How long ago? Yeah. Okay, got it. What is it? Guy just been found dead. 16 Conway Street. Looks like murder. Let's go. 10:16 a.m. Hope and I got a car out of the police garage and headed for Hollywood. 10:42. We arrived at 16 Conway Street. It was one of those white stucco apartment hotels.
We parked the car, and on the way in, I got all the available facts from the patrolman on duty at the door. The murdered man's name was Barney Dean. He was a theater manager, lived alone. Seemed to be a respectable citizen, or was a respectable citizen. One of the tenants in the building had discovered the body and called the police. 11 a.m. Hope and I entered the murdered man's apartment. The coroner was there, just getting ready to leave. Hi, Doc.
Yeah, hello, Sergeant. That's the body right there. Who's this with you?
Oh, that's my partner, Detective Hope. New man, first case.
Hello, son. First case, huh? Ever see a real stiff stretched out before?
Yes, New Year's Eve. Who was it?
Huh?
Who was it?
Me.
Say, Doc, any idea of the cause of death?
Well, he was struck from behind with a blunt instrument, causing the collapse of the posterior section of the cranial cavity, cutting the vascular system and splintering the medulla oblongata.
I'd like to see the Blue Cross plan fix that.
Well, I gotta be on my way. Good luck with your first case, son.
Thanks, Doc.
And if you're ever down at the morgue, be sure and drop in.
Okay, and if you're not there, I'll lie down and wait for you.
So long, Friday.
Man, I wouldn't have his job for anything, fooling around with stiffs at the morgue all day. Yeah, same thing when he gets home. He lives in Pasadena. Hey, Friday, I got a feeling about this case. I think that guy laying there on the floor was leading a double life. Respectable theater manager half the time, hoodlum the other half. Are you kidding? No, you can never tell. Just last week, the FBI picked up an innocent-looking guy who had a terrific racket. What was he doing? Smuggling Democrats into Washington. Friday, sorry. Sometimes my sense of humor almost gets away from me. Yeah, well, you can't blame us for trying. All right, we got work to do here, Hope. Grab this tape measure and take some measurements. I'll write them down. Right. Here we go. Distance from body to floor, 11 feet. 11 feet. Distance to window, 39 inches. Right. Neck 13 inches, waist 26 inches, hips 33 inches. Oh, get away from that wall. Stop measuring that Marilyn Monroe calendar. Thanks. Another minute, my badge would have melted. See you later, honey.
What's going on here? What's all this excitement?
Who are you?
I'm the landlady, and I... Oh, Mr. Dean, what's happened? Get up off the floor. You'll catch your death of cold.
Look, lady, we're afraid there's been some trouble here. Mr. Dean is dead.
What? Well, don't just stand around. Do something. Call the automobile club.
All right, now calm down, ma'am. We're police officers. We'd just like to ask you a few questions here.
Police officers?
That's right. I'm Sergeant Friday. This is Detective Hope. How do you do?
Oh, I've seen your face before. Have you been in an accident?
Ma'am, there's been a murder.
Poor Mr. Dean.
Oh, you two were friendly.
Oh, yes. We even took dancing lessons together. Now I'll have to call up and cancel.
That's right. It takes two to tango. Lady, where were you yesterday?
Right here in the building, in my apartment on the ground floor. I watched television all day long. I didn't leave my TV set for a minute.
Why not?
I heard a rumor Lucille Ball might do it again.
Look, lady, how does it happen you weren't here when Mr. Dean's body was discovered?
I was out doing my shopping.
Shopping, eh?
Yes. I bought eggs, butter, milk, bread, and, of course, Jell-O.
All right, what do you mean, of course, Jell-O?
Why, now's the time for Jell-O. It's America's favorite dessert. I always buy it. Jell-O has a delicious, fruity, rich flavor. And it's so easy to prepare. Oh, goodness me, nobody should be without it.
I'm never without it. I sleep with my head between two bowls of Jell-O. Just lie there all night long, quivering. All right, I'll handle this, Hope. Okay, Friday. Now, let's get this straight, ma'am. You say you've been down at the store buying Jell-O.
That's right. Strawberry, raspberry, cherry, orange, lemon, and lime.
How does her alibi sound to you, Hope? Delicious. Well, we'll have to check her story. How do we know she was out buying Jell-O this morning?
I'd be a fool not to. After all, Jell-O is such a delicious, delicately flavored dessert, and so colorful. You can make wonderful salads with it. And what's more, Jell-O is economical. You save money when you buy Jell-O.
How about this? A long-playing landlady. Are you taking notes on this, Hope? Sure, I've got 3 pages full. All right, let's hear them. Okay, here's page 1. Remind Dolores that now is the time for Jell-O. Page 2. Try Jell-O salad for Saturday lunch. Page 3. Get new combination lock for the Jell-O cupboard. A new combination lock? Yeah, the other night I found one of the kids standing by the Jell-O cupboard, sandpapering his fingertips. Oh, you're some detective. Hope you'll never learn how to catch a crook. No, but I sure know how to hold a sponsor. All right, come on now. Let's get on with this investigation. Lady, so far all we have is your word that you were out shopping this morning. That's not good enough. Can you prove that?
Why, sure. I've got the proof right here in this shopping bag.
Now, let's see it.
There.
Yeah, looks like Jell-O to me. Looks like money to me. That's all, ma'am. We won't need you anymore.
Thank you. Bye, Mr. Friday.
Bye.
Bye, Mr. Hope.
Goodbye.
Bye, Mr. Dean.
Don't wait for an answer. There's a nice old character. Yeah, a real cool Grandma Moses. Well, we got work to do here. Yeah, let's go downtown and report. January 25th. 5 days went by. No break at all. Every decent lead washed out. 1 p.m. Captain of Detectives Kresnick sent for us. Hope and I walked down the hall to his office. Well, looks like we're stuck. Yeah. Tough case. Yeah. Develop anything in those runs you made over at the lab? Not much. I processed the M.O. of the DOA without getting a make. Then I ran a 184 through the LP file and tried for a COA on the PD. What does that mean? I was hoping you knew. Now, here we are. Let's go in and get it over with.
Come in.
Captain?
Well, Friday, Hope, what about it? 5 days have gone by. You haven't made any progress.
Now, this case is a lulu. Not one decent lead.
Well, there was some evidence. What about the fingerprints found on the scene?
They turned out to be Officer Hope's, sir.
There were some footprints.
Officer Hope's, too, sir.
And a handkerchief.
Officer Hope.
Well, what about the pretty blonde girl in the silk wrapper across the hall?
Well, I'm not on duty all the time, you know. Well, we'll keep trying, Captain. Just give us a few more days. We'll break the case.
We've got to have action. The pressure's on.
Yes, sir?
The mayor's on the commissioner's neck, the commissioner's on the chief's neck, and the chief's on my neck.
If the top man can juggle, it's a wonderful act. All right, let's go, Hope. In police work, you take the tough with the good. This case was one of the tough ones. But just when it looked bad, we got a break. Through an informant, we learned the murdered man had a girlfriend. She was a singer in a joint over on the east side, the Kit Kat Club. 11:31 p.m. Hope and I got a squad car and headed for the Kit Kat Club. Down through Lower Main Street, the toughest section of L.A. Not very classy, is it? Skid Row. Cesspool of the city. Gin mills, hot shops, flea bag hotels. This is the bottom. Nobody lives down here but the cheap crooks, winos, and stumblebums. Would you mind stopping at that next house? What for? I want to see if I got any mail today. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if you weren't kidding. I can always tell a wino by the way he walks on his heels. Careful or I'll breathe on you. But I really did live in a tough section like this when I was a kid. I'd be a member of a gang of pickpockets right now, except my mother wouldn't let me join. Well, you were smart to listen to her. I had to. She was the boss of the mob. There's the place in the corner, the Kit Kat Club. Now, watch your step in here. There may be fireworks. Don't worry. Let's hope to have a steady eye. My grandfather used to shoot a hole through the ace of spades at 100 yards. Well, that's pretty good. It's the best that's ever been done with chewing tobacco. All right, here's the door. You go first. You're the sergeant. You go first. All right, come on. Hey, mister, you the manager of this place?
That's right. Oh, officers. So step up to the bar. I'll pour you boys a drink.
Oh, no, thanks. No, thanks. No, thanks. Well, just a little one. This will be the first highball ever served in an oil drum.
All right, let's skip the drinks. We're on duty. Kind of a tough joint you're running here, mister.
It's the best around here. Drinks are only a dime. We serve free sandwiches. And every time someone's shot in here, we pay their funeral expenses and $10,000 to the widow.
How can you afford to do that?
We're a subsidiary of General Motors.
Now, look, we want to talk to a girl you got working here. Your singer.
Hey, Miss Whiting's about to do a number.
All right, we'll sit at one of these tables and wait till she's finished.
If I am fancy free and love to wander, it's just the gypsy in my soul. There's someone calling me from way out yonder. It's just the gypsy in my soul. I've got to give vent to my emotions. I'm only content having my way. There is no other life of which I'm fonder. It's just the gypsy in my soul. Just the gypsy in my soul. There's someone calling me from way out yonder. It's just the gypsy in my soul. No cares, no strings. It's gonna have wings. That's why just the gypsy in my soul, in my soul. It's just the gypsy in my
Oh, Miss Whiting?
Yes.
Like your song. Can we have a word with you?
That's the trouble with working in a dive like this. You guys are always trying to make a pickup.
No, you got me wrong, ma'am. We're police officers.
Then why is this other guy kissing my shoulders?
You got me right. I'm a wolf.
I'd like to ask you some questions, miss. Mind if we step into your dressing room?
Come on. It won't take long. I'd like to change my clothes.
Go right ahead. Don't mind us.
Sorry to inconvenience you, ma'am. We're investigating a crime.
That's right.
I want to ask you a straight question, and I want a straight answer.
Yeah.
Where were you Thursday night around 11 o'clock?
I was shooting pool with some of the boys.
Not you!
It's none of your business where I was.
How old are you?
22.
22. According to our records, you have a son 19 years old.
I married young.
Glad to know you. I'm from Tennessee, too.
Well, I don't know what this is all about, but I assure you I have nothing to do with it.
Oh, yeah, I wish I could believe that, sister. You got a record as long as my arm. In 1946, you were arrested for rolling a drunk.
With my boyfriend, and he wasn't drunk, he was plastic.
The charge says you were rolling them.
The only way I could get him home.
I think we're making a mistake, Sarge. She's just a sweet kid. She can't be mixed up in this.
Are you kidding? 16 stolen cars in the last 5 years, 4 mink coats, 5 diamond wristwatches. Why, this dame will go for anything that's fast and loose.
She will? Stay right here, baby. I'll go home and get my straw hat and send cents. you listen, sister. A boyfriend of yours named Barney Dean was knocked off a few nights ago. You still haven't told us where you were last Thursday night.
Why don't you guys wake up? I was singing right here in this club in front of 50 witnesses.
We checked the girl's story. It was true. Another lead gone. We reported back to headquarters. 12:25 a.m. We entered Captain Kresnick's office.
All right, you said you had something. What is it?
I broke the case, Captain.
You did?
Well, we couldn't get it because it's so obvious. Now, think back. Everything points to one man. I hate to say this, Captain. The guilty man is one of us. He just joined the force.
Gee, I wonder who that could be.
All right, Hope, you can start talking anytime.
Are you kidding? I had nothing to do with
What
it.
about it, Hope? Yes, spill it. Let's have it.
Okay, you got me. You admit you killed Barney Dean? What else can I do? I know you've been watching me. Watching, waiting for my nerves to go to pieces. All right. I'll talk. I'm cracking.
Look, please, just crack. Don't come all apart.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be messy.
Hope, how did you know Barney Dean?
Well, he was the manager of the Paramount Theater where our new picture, The Road to Valley, is playing. I have to kill him.
Why?
Because he did a terrible thing.
What?
He did a horrible thing.
Well, what was it?
An awful, unforgivable thing. He deserved to die.
Oh, stop this, Hope. What did he do?
On the marquee of his theater, he put Crosby's name ahead of mine. Well, that just about winds it up, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank Jack Webb, star of Dragnet, for being with us tonight. And I hope the police departments that were listening in will forgive me for joining them temporarily. It was all in fun. I know we all appreciate the great job those boys do for us. Every man who wears the badge of law risks his life for us every morning when he goes to work. These are the guys who hold the line on the home front, protecting our children, our homes, our community. They deserve all the support we can give them. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, king size, extra mild and soothing, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A young man walks into your office and tells you that his best friend has been killed by unknown assailants. Your job? Investigate. Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality.
Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
Switch to Fatima yourself today.
Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, August 9th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. It was 7:58 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide. That you, Frank?
Yeah, morning, Joe.
Looks like it's going to be a scorcher today, doesn't it?
Yeah, nice and clear.
How'd the weekend go?
Lousy.
Why? What do you mean?
Oh, Fay and me had a ruckus Saturday night.
Oh, that's so?
Yeah, it happens every time we have somebody over for dinner. Never fails.
Yeah.
And she gets to yakking it up with the company. We never eat till 10:30. It's a miserable time for dinner.
Yeah, it's pretty late at that.
Saturday night we had the Johnsons over, going to play a little cards, have a little dinner. You know, relax.
Mm-hmm.
Wife fixed Swedish meatballs. They're on the stove. Everything's dandy. She gets to talking. We finally sit down to eat. It's 10:15. Meatballs are burned.
Yeah.
Well, that time we were all so hungry we lost our appetite. It was real embarrassing, Joe. We finally sat down. I figured I'd let Fay know I was pretty sore. But I didn't want to come right out and tell her in front of the Johnsons, you know.
Yeah, I understand.
So I picked up one of the meatballs that was burned, said she'd invented something new. Everybody else used chlorophyll for their teeth, but we had built-in charcoal.
Yeah, well, what'd she say?
Nothing, just a look. Hasn't said a word to me since. Sends the kids with messages for me. It's pretty miserable.
She'll probably be over when you get home tonight.
Pardon me.
Yes, sir?
It's the homicide department where you report a murder?
Yes, sir, that's right.
You the fellas I talked to about a murder? Yes, sir. Come on in. Sit down. Take that chair over there. Thought I'd never make it.
Are you all right?
Yeah, now that I'm here, it's all right.
Your face is pretty badly cut there. Those bruises, scratches on your throat. You sure you're all right now?
Yeah, I'm all right. I never thought I'd get here. Times I was ready to quit, but then I'd think of Kevin, what they did to him. I had to keep walking. I had to. For Kevin, I had to. Well, everything's all right now. You can tell us about it. I don't know where to start.
What's your name, young fella?
Bruce Hamilton.
All right, Bruce. I'm Joe Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
Hello, Bruce. Oh.
We know that you must have been through a terrible ordeal, but you can tell us about it. It's all right.
What day is today? It's Monday, the 9th. Monday. And it was Saturday night. Just 2 days. Seems like 10 years. We just finished dinner, sitting around the fire having coffee, trying to figure out whose turn it was to do the dishes. Then we heard them.
You heard them? Who's that?
Horsemen. Lots of them. They rode right into the camp. One of them yelled something, and they all stopped. Stood there looking at us. We didn't know what to do, who they were. We just stood there. Then this big guy, I guess he was the leader, said something to us in Spanish. We couldn't understand him.
All right, go ahead.
You see, Kevin and I go to school together. Summer vacation, we decided to go down to Mexico and do a little prospecting. That's the reason we were there.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
We just stood there and looked at him. Big guy said something else, and then they all laughed. And he got off his horse and came over to Kevin and me. He was a big man. When we tried to tell him that we didn't know what he was saying, he laughed and turned to the other men, and they laughed too. Big guy said something else to him, and they all got off their horses and started to go through our things. Kevin told them not to and started to walk over to him to stop him. The leader hit Kevin and knocked him down. The men laughed at him, and Kevin got up and ran toward one of them. Kevin started to hit him. I broke away from the one that was holding me and ran to help Kevin. The big guy grabbed me and hit me in the face, knocked me down and started to kick me. I heard a shot. When I looked where Kevin was, he was all doubled up, holding his stomach. He hollered at me to help him. Then the guy shot him again. He fell down and didn't move. They all laughed, thought it was a big joke. I got up. One of them shot at me. I started running. I ran as fast as I could. He kept shooting. Thought sure they'd hit me, and I kind of waited for it. Then I ran through some bushes, and I fell into this gully.
Mm-hmm.
When I hit the bottom, I just lay there and didn't move, almost afraid to breathe. Guess they thought they'd kill me.
I see. What happened then?
I waited until I couldn't hear them anymore, and then I crawled up out of the gully to see if they were gone. I wanted to help Kevin. I didn't see anybody, so I walked over to where he was. He was laying on his face. You got no idea how I felt when I turned him over.
Mm-hmm. All right, we understand. Go ahead.
I knew right away he was dead. It shot him in the stomach and in the chest. Shirt was all stained. There was nothing I could do for him. Nothing anybody could do. I looked at him for a long time. Guess I cried. It was terrible. Kevin was dead, and there's nothing I could do for him.
I see. What'd you do then?
I buried Kevin. I looked for something to dig the grave with, but they'd taken everything, even the shovels. Everything. I found a place under a tree and dug a grave with my hands. Then I went back and got Kevin. Laid him in the grave I dug and covered him up. Said a prayer for him. I did the best I could for him. Best I could.
All right, son. Try to take it easy. Frank, let's interrogation room, all right? All right. Bruce, maybe you'd like to go down the hall to another room. It's a little more quiet down there, huh?
Yeah. Sorry. Crying like a kid. I guess you think it's silly, but I can't help it.
Oh, it's all right, Bruce. We know how you feel. Nobody gets too old to cry. Go ahead. No, it's down this way.
Okay. I'm so tired. I'm glad to get this over with.
Sure. All right, here we are. Go ahead, Bruce. Want to sit down?
Thanks.
Here's your glass of water, Bruce.
Thanks. Tastes good. Helps.
All right. Now, is there any more you want to tell us?
Well, there's a little more. There was nothing I could do. I looked around. They'd taken everything. Dishes, food, supplies, clothes. I went over the mesquite bushes where we hid in our duffel bag. We kept all our money and papers in there. Wallets, identification, all our valuables. They'd found that. It was gone. They hadn't left anything.
Well, they took everything. Didn't leave a thing, huh?
Not a thing.
What'd you do then?
Started to walk. We parked our car just off the highway. It was about 5 miles. When I got to where we'd parked it, the car was gone. I didn't know what to do. What could I do?
All right.
I started to walk to Ensenada to tell the police. Then I began to think that the bandits had taken my wallet. I didn't have any identification, no way to prove who I was. Couldn't even speak the language. Got scared that they might not believe me.
Now, you walked all the way from Ensenada to the American border, is that it?
That's right. I walked all Saturday night, and Sunday morning I found an old adobe house, and I crawled through a window and slept. I don't know how long I was asleep, but it was dark when I woke up. I started to walk again. I walked all Sunday night, too. When I got to the border, I was afraid to go through the gate, so I went down by the riverbed and found a hole in the fence. I crawled through and went over the American side. When I got there, I felt better. Safe. I figured that I'd go up to the first policeman I saw and tell him what happened.
Did you notify the authorities down in San Diego?
No, I got to the police station, but I didn't go in. I didn't tell them.
Why not?
Like I said, I didn't have any way to prove who I was. I had no money. My wallet was gone. My clothes were all torn. Face was all cut. I thought it'd be better if I could get to Kevin's mother. If I could see her and talk to her, she'd know what to do. I hitched a ride. I wanted to go to San Francisco. Truck driver brought me this far. While we were driving, I thought more and more about what I'd say to Kevin's mother, how I'd tell her he was dead. Then I knew I couldn't do it. But I had to tell somebody. That's why I came to see you.
Now, Bruce, we're going to have to go back down to Mexico. You'll be able to show us where the body is, won't you?
Well, if I have to go, I guess I can. But I can tell you exactly where it was. I can give you a map, tell you right where he's buried.
Do you want to give us that information now?
Yeah. It was south of Ensenada, 40 miles down the new paved highway.
South of Ensenada, 40 miles. You sure it was 40 miles?
Yeah. While we were driving, Kevin and I kept trying to figure out how many kilometers to a mile. I kept watching the speedometer. It was just 40 miles when we turned off the paved highway onto a little dirt road.
40 miles?
Yeah. There's a clump of trees near there in the gully. You can't miss it.
I see. Can you give us the description of the car, the license number?
Oh, I don't remember the license number, but the car was a 51 Ford sedan, dark blue. Car belonged to Kevin. I never paid any attention to the license.
Mm-hmm. That's K-E-V-I-N, Kevin, huh?
Yeah.
Now we can check that through DMV. What was Kevin's full name and address?
Kevin Allen Bradley. He lived at 6502 Washington Street, San Francisco. He lived with his mother, apartment on Nob Hill.
Mm-hmm. Would you give us a description of Kevin?
Well, he's about my size, generally. 5'10", 140 pounds, blue eyes. His hair's light, kind of blonde like mine, 22 years old. We looked a lot alike. Kids at school used to think we were brothers sometimes.
I see.
Joey better get a communication to the Mexican authorities, fill them in on the whole thing.
Yeah.
We're coming down.
Yeah.
Contact San Francisco and let them handle that end of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Get a teletype off the DMV in Sacramento, get a license number on the car. We better contact the San Diego PD and get a hold of Al Gate and fill him in on the thing.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll stay here with Bruce. You want to take care of that?
Mm-hmm.
Now, look, young fella, would you know these bandits again if you saw them?
I might not know some of them, but the big guy and the one that shot Kevin up, I'll never forget them. The big guy was tall, heavy, over 6 feet, well over 200 pounds. I'll never forget him. That laugh when he killed Kevin. When he laughed, you could see he had 2 gold teeth right here in front. These here.
2 gold teeth, huh?
Yeah.
Now, how about the other man, Bruce? Did you get a good look at him?
He was a small man, dark like the leader. He wasn't wearing a hat. Real thin face. His clothes were all dirty, and his pants were torn around the bottoms. He was wearing those leather sandals, the open kind. His feet were filthy, like he hadn't had a bath in a year.
You think you'd be able to identify any of the others?
Well, I don't know. Maybe if I saw him. I was scared, and I don't mind admitting it.
Joe?
Yeah, Frank.
I stopped by R&I before I went on with the other communications. Checked the name Kevin Allen Bradley through.
Yeah.
There's a teletype from San Francisco dated July 13th. It's a missing person report on Kevin. You want to read it?
What's it say? Regular missing report?
It's described as male, white, American, 22 years, 5'10", 140 pounds, blonde, blue eyes, fair complexion. Time of disappearance was wearing a dark blue gabardine suit. Driving a dark blue 1951 Ford, license number 1 Robert 2951. Nothing else, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
He's known to be carrying a sum of money in excess of $1,500 when he disappeared.
$1,500 is a lot of money, isn't it?
Not to Kevin. He was used to carrying that kind of money. See, his folks were pretty rich. He always had all the money he wanted.
Oh, I see. Well, how about this missing report here, Bruce?
What do you mean?
Well, didn't Kevin's mother know that he was going to Mexico?
Well, no. You see, they had an argument about where he was going to spend his summer vacation. She wanted him to go to Canada, and he wanted to come down here. One afternoon, he just took off. Kevin went to the bank and got the money and just took off.
He didn't tell his mother anything about it?
No, he thought that she'd try to stop him. Probably would have, too, if she'd known.
Oh, was the money among the things that were stolen from you?
Well, yeah. It was in Kevin's wallet in the duffel bag.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose it was kind of foolish to leave that much money just laying around, but we did. We didn't think that anything had happened like this. I stop and think back over it. Kevin being dead, I don't know, I just get sick.
Now, you say you didn't have any money. How did you get along?
I didn't think much about food. The important thing was to tell somebody about Kevin's being killed. That's all I thought about, telling somebody.
Yeah, sure. Well, you must be pretty hungry then. You'd like something to eat now, would you?
Yeah, it might taste pretty good. Sandwich and some coffee. How about you guys? You gonna eat?
Frank, how about you?
Yeah, after I get communications off, I'll run across the street and pick up some sandwiches and coffee and bring them back here.
All right, fine.
What kind of sandwich you like, Bruce?
No, anything. Doesn't make any difference.
Joe?
Oh, ham's all right. White bread, a lot of mustard.
Okay, I'll be right back.
All right.
Oh, say, Joe, I'm running kind of low on my allowance. I only got $1.50. You got a little change?
Yeah, sure.
Now, here, let me get this.
What's that?
Huh?
Did you say you had some money?
Well, I have got $10. $10 bill.
Well, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought you said the bandits took all your money. Did I get it wrong?
Well, what I meant is I didn't think I had any money. I found this 10 in my pocket just before I walked in here.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Look, you can see it's all wadded up. It must have been in my pocket for a long time. Just a 10 all wadded up.
Yeah, it's all crumpled up there. You can hardly tell what it is, can you?
Yeah, that's right. But you can see it's a 10.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. It's all wrinkled up. You can see how I missed it.
Yeah. I'll tell you, why don't you put everything in your pockets right here on the table, huh?
Why? What'll that show?
All right, come on, boy.
I haven't got anything in my pockets.
Well, you found the 10. Maybe you'll find something else.
All right, but I don't know what it's going to show. Pocket knife, handkerchief, comb. You got the 10 on the table there. That's all.
Maybe there's something in your coat pocket.
No, I don't carry anything in my coat pockets. Stretches them.
Well, you take a look anyway, huh?
I told you I don't use them. See? Nothing.
How about the inside pocket?
No. There's nothing there.
Let's have a look, huh?
I told you there's nothing there.
Then you won't mind if we have a look.
What's that you got there, Bruce?
That's my wallet. Guess they didn't take it after all. Gee, thanks for finding it. No, I probably wouldn't have thought to look for it. I just figured that it was gone. Here, let me have it.
Let's see what's in it, huh?
Well, just some cards, personal stuff like that. Nothing you'd be interested in. I forgot all about it. I feel pretty silly. I didn't even know it was there.
Take a look, Joe.
You say this is your wallet, is that right, Bruce?
Yeah, it's mine. I told you it's mine. How about letting me have it, huh?
There's quite a bit of money in here, Bruce.
Huh?
I don't know. Just a glance here. Looks to be about $1,000, doesn't it?
Well, just a minute. I think I can explain that.
There's another thing here I don't think you can explain.
What's that?
The name in the wallet. Kevin Bradley.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma. And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Yes, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, sunny yellow pack. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So next time, insist on Fatima quality. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Smoke Fatima, the extra mild and soothing king-size cigarette, with the added protection of Fatima quality.
With the finding of Kevin Bradley's wallet, the case had taken a new turn. We continued to question Bruce Hamilton, but he insisted that he thought the wallet and the money had been taken by the bandits when they killed the Bradley boy. While I talked to him, Frank went down the hall and contacted the Mexican authorities and gave them the information. He gave them the description of Kevin Bradley and of Bruce Hamilton. They told him that to the best of their knowledge, there were no bandits operating in the vicinity, but they would dispatch a search party to go over the area. They said they would keep us advised of any developments that might arise. Frank also contacted the San Francisco Police Department and gave them the information. They said they'd take care of that end of the investigation. 11:47 a.m. Frank came back to the interrogation room, and we continued to question the Hamilton boy.
I told you all I know. I don't know how the money got there. I was as surprised as you were. I don't understand it. You gotta believe me.
Yeah, well, you're making it pretty tough to believe, Bruce. It's kind of hard to buy the fact that over $1,000 in Kevin's wallet turns up in your pocket and you don't know how it got there.
But it's the truth. I don't know how I can convince you that it's the truth.
Well, there are a couple of other things that aren't clear here.
What? Tell me. I'm not lying. I've got nothing to hide. What's not right? Tell me.
Well, this business of not telling the authorities.
I told you I was scared that they might not believe me. You can understand that, can't you?
Well, maybe up to a point.
I thought that if I could get to Kevin's mother, then she could take care of it. I didn't know what else to do. Then when I got to L.A., I had a chance to think about it, and I couldn't go through with it. I couldn't tell his mother. I couldn't face her.
Bruce, when you described where we could find the body, you said it was about 40 miles down the paved highway, that right?
That's what I said.
Well, how long has it been since you've been to Mexico?
Well, I told you I just came back from there. Don't you believe anything I've told you?
Well, Joe and I just finished an investigation down in Mexico. Investigation took us about 70 miles south of Ensenada. We found the highway paved for only about 5 miles south. You say 40 miles. How do you explain the difference?
Well, maybe I was wrong about the distance.
Well, you're pretty sure when you first told us about it.
Well, maybe I made a mistake.
There's something else, Bruce. It's a little hazy here.
I told you I want to help anything.
How far south of Ensenada did you say you were?
I said about 40 miles now. I'm not sure.
But you are sure that it was south of Ensenada?
Well, yeah.
And Kevin was killed on a Saturday night?
That's right.
And you started for the States right away?
That's what I said. I started walking as soon as I found the car was gone.
And you walked all the way to the border?
Well, that's right.
How'd you walk? What route did you take?
I told you I stayed off the road. I was afraid of the bandits coming back. I walked along the roadside and then through the hills. I got off the roadside whenever I saw anybody coming.
But you did walk all the way?
Yeah, that's right. All the way from Ensenada to the border.
And it took you how long?
Oh, Saturday night and Sunday night. I got a ride in San Diego in the morning.
What time do you figure that you started for the border?
Maybe 11:30, midnight. I don't know for sure.
And you stopped at dawn?
Well, yeah, I stopped and slept. Then I woke up and I started to walk.
And you're asking us to believe that you walked over 100 miles in less than 14 hours. Is that right?
Yeah.
Through country like that?
What do you think? That I'm making the whole thing up? Look at my face, my back. Here, look. Does this look like my imagination?
You could have gotten these in a fight with Kevin. Maybe he didn't want you to take the money.
You keep talking about the money. I try to tell you I don't know how the money got in my pocket. I don't know anything about it. You think I killed Kevin, is that right?
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it?
But he was my best friend. I had no reason to kill him. He was my friend.
Now, look, son, we better get this thing straight for you. You've opened up a can of beans here. You waltz in here and give us a cock and bull story about this killing. Parts of your story we can't buy. Why are you trying to sell it to us? You lied about the road. You lied about the money. The story about how you walked doesn't ring true. You want to know what I really think, Bruce? I think the whole thing's a lie from start to finish. A lie. Now, let's come off it. Who killed Kevin Bradley?
I don't know. I don't know.
Now, get this straight, Bruce. Did you kill him?
Huh? Did you kill Kevin Bradley? Is that the reason for this story?
No, I didn't.
Well, somebody did. Can you tell us who?
You're getting me all mixed up.
You're the one that's getting it mixed up, Bruce. We just want to know who killed Kevin Bradley.
We think maybe it was you.
Looks like it might have been.
No, it couldn't be. Leave me alone. I didn't do it.
Why couldn't you have done it? Looks like you did.
Because Kevin Bradley isn't dead.
What's that?
He was never killed. I'm Kevin Bradley.
The boy broke down completely and admitted that the whole thing was a hoax. He said he hadn't been in Mexico at all, but that he had spent the past week in a downtown hotel working out the story that he planned to tell us. He admitted that the wounds were self-inflicted. He explained that he had scratched his own face and hit himself with a rock to produce the cuts and bruises. He went on to say that he had picked Mexico as the scene of the false killing because he thought the story would be more difficult to trace. Like many citizens, he was unaware of the close cooperation between American law enforcement agencies and the Mexican authorities. We asked him about the existence of a Bruce Hamilton, and he told us there was such a boy in his class at school. 12:50 p.m. The communication had come through from San Francisco, and the teletype said that Mrs. Bradley was en route to Los Angeles to aid in the investigation. When we told Kevin about this, he lapsed into silence, and for another hour refused to say anything. 2:05 p.m.
All right, now look, boy, you've been sitting there for an hour and you haven't said a word. If there's something you want to say, well, listen.
There's nothing to say. I tried to get away from her. All my life she's told me what to do. I tried to tell her, but I couldn't. Nobody would understand. You can't. Every time I tried to get away, she'd say something or do something, so I couldn't leave. I was trapped, and I didn't know what to do. Then I thought I did know, and even that didn't work. I thought that if you told her I was dead, she'd forget me. Leave me alone. I can't even die right.
Kevin, you're here. I knew what they told me was wrong. I knew you were all right.
Hello, Mother.
What happened to you, Kevin, darling? Your face, your clothes. Oh, my poor baby, how did this happen? Are you all right? Oh, your poor face all cut. What's happened, Kevin?
It's all right, Mother.
No, it's not all right. I don't know what happened or who did this awful thing, but I'll take care of it. Officer.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you know about this?
I beg your pardon?
What do you know about this? Did you do it? Did you hit this poor boy? Look at this poor face. Just look at it. It's terrible. That's what it is. It's terrible. I need to find out just what happened here. I'll get to the bottom of this. No, don't you worry, Kevin, baby. Mother's here. She'll take care of you.
Mother, please.
It's all right, honey. Everything will be all right.
Mother, these officers had nothing to do with it.
Of course not. If you say so, Kevin, baby. Have you called the doctor about this? Have you gotten in touch with someone to take care of his face? Never mind. I'll take him to a doctor. I'll look after him. Poor baby. Mother will look after him.
Mother, please don't.
Now, Kevin, you know that Mother knows what's best. Mother will take care of you.
Stop it. Shut up.
Kevin.
I'm sick of it, tired of it. For 20 years, as long as I can remember, you've taken care of things. Did you ever think I might want to take care of a few things myself? Have you ever thought that I wasn't a kid anymore? I'm an adult. Like it says on the missing report, male, white American, 22 years, an adult.
All right, take it easy, son.
No, I've tried to say this before, and I've never had the nerve. I've got it now, and I'm going to finish. I'm tired of having you make all the arrangements for me. I'm going to have dates with girls that I want to go out with, not the ones you pick for me. I'm going to get a job and make my own way. I'm going to buy a car, and if I smash it up and me along with it, it's my business. I'll never forgive you for what you've done. You spent 20 years making me an outsider, always on the fringe. I couldn't do the things I wanted to, only the things you wanted me to do, only the things you thought best. I'm sick of having you make the decisions for me. From here on in, I'm going to make them myself. I tried to kill Kevin Bradley for no reason. You killed him a long time ago. Take a good look at me, Mother. Take a good look and see what you've done. I hate the sight of you. I hate everything about you. Now leave me alone and go away.
All right, take it easy, boy.
It's all right, officer. I understand. Sometimes he gets like this. He doesn't mean it. I know him. All right, Kevin. I'm sure the officers are impressed. Dry your eyes and we'll go home. Do you hear me, Kevin? Stop this foolishness, I said. We're going home.
Yes, Mother, I hear you.
I'm sorry, officer. Embarrassing. I don't know why he does these things. He's always been pretty emotional.
Yes, ma'am.
There's nothing else. We better be going. I want to catch the early train back to the city. It's a party planned for tomorrow night. A million things to do. You'll have to help Kevin. Kevin, do you hear me?
Yes, Mother, I hear you.
Well, then say goodbye to the officers and let's go.
Goodbye, Mr. Friday. Mr. Smith. I'm sorry this all happened.
Yes, so are we, son.
tried, Sergeant. Just didn't work, but I did try.
Kevin, let's go. I don't want to miss that plane.
Yes, Mother.
Oh, Sergeant.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for giving my boy back to me.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On August 9th, the matter was taken before the city attorney for a decision. In a moment, the results of that decision.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, if you're planning a trip this coming holiday weekend, I'd like to suggest that you take Fatima's along with you. Get a carton or two, and that way you'll have enough to last the trip. In Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness and a really different flavor and aroma. You get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. That's king-size Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack and carton.
In the interest of justice, there was no complaint filed against Kevin Allen Bradley. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Herb Ellis, Edwin Bruce, Sarah Selby. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
King Size Fatima has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Friday, hear the Mario Lanza Show on NBC.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, king size, extra mild and soothing, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the homicide detail. You get a call that a man has had a heart attack, fallen and fractured his skull. It looks like an accidental death. Your job, investigate.
Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality.
Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
Switch to Fatima yourself today.
Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, September 4th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. It was 10:46 p.m. when we got to 2102 West Francis Avenue. The front door.
Yes?
Miss Prater?
Yes, that's right.
Police officers, ma'am.
Oh, yes, of course. Come in.
Thank you. Well, I'm Sergeant Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you do?
How do you do, ma'am?
How do you do, Mr. Smith? Won't you sit down?
Yes, thank you very much.
Doctor said you'd be here. Guess he told you about the accident.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if there's something you want to know, I guess I can tell you about it.
Mm-hmm. Your husband's full name was Alfred Kenneth Prater, is that right?
Yes, Alfred Kenneth.
I wonder if we could go in, Miss Prater.
Yes, it's in the dining room.
Yes, ma'am.
We just finished dinner, and Alfred got up from the table, said he wanted to see the ball game on television. Excused himself and got up, then all of a sudden he put his hand on his chest and started to stagger. Said something about his heart. Asked me to help him.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Well, I jumped up to go to him. He just crumpled and fell. With his head on the table, the lay there didn't move. The doctor said his skull might be fractured. That's what it might have killed him.
Did you call the doctor right away?
No, I stayed with Alfred. My mother called Dr. Adams. He's her own doctor. When we got here, poor Alfred was gone.
We'll try to take it easy. Dr. Adams, he's the one that called us.
Yes, he said he would. Something about a death certificate. I didn't understand it.
Well, Miss Prater, maybe you'd like to go into the living room.
Yes, please.
Can we get you anything? Glass of water or anything?
No, I'll be all right. It'll just take a minute.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Just a few more questions. Did your husband have a history of a bad heart, any trouble like this before?
Not that I know of. He never said anything about it. He used to work awfully hard, long hours.
Has your husband been under the care of a physician?
No, never was sick. Had a doctor where we used to live. Since we've been here, we haven't had any need for one.
Your husband ever give you any indication there was something wrong with his heart?
No, if there was something wrong, Alfred would have said something about it. We had no secrets, told each other everything. Married 14 years and never had a single fight that amounted to anything. Wonderful husband. Woman couldn't ask for anything more. Good provider.
Well, who was here when your husband had the accident, ma'am?
My mother, she lives with us.
She here now?
Yes, she's in the next room lying down. It's been a trying time, officer.
Yes, ma'am.
All those years, Alfred and me. When Ray was born, he's 9 now. Happy family. All the neighbors used to tell me how lucky I was, but I knew it. I knew it. Now it's all gone.
I wonder if we could speak to your mother, Miss Prater.
Yes, of course. I'll get her. Sergeant?
Yes, ma'am.
She's 55. Hasn't been too well lately, and this whole thing's been quite a shock for her. I'd appreciate it if you'd be as brief as possible.
Yes, ma'am. We understand.
Mother? Mother, are you awake?
Yes, dear. What is it?
Well, there are 2 officers out in the living room. They'd like to talk to you.
What about?
It's about Alfred.
Alfred, what about him?
I just wanted to ask you some questions. Nothing wrong.
I'll tell him I'll be right there.
All right, dear. I'll be right out upstairs.
All right. Thank you, Miss Prater.
Can I get you something? A cup of coffee or something?
No, not a thing. Thank you.
No, ma'am. Thank you very much.
If you don't mind, I'd like to make a pot of tea for Mother and myself.
Yes, go right ahead.
Do you want to come out in the kitchen? We can talk while I put the water on.
All right, ma'am.
Did you call the coroner, Frank?
Yeah, Joe, before we left the office. Should be here in a minute now. Have to get a sketch of the room before he removes the body.
Yeah.
Ray's the one who's going to suffer for it.
How's that, ma'am?
Poor little kid. He and his father were great friends. I don't know what he's going to do when he really knows what's happened.
Well, doesn't the boy know about it yet?
Yes, he was here when it happened, but I don't think he realizes yet what it means.
How old did you say he was, ma'am?
9. 9 last month.
Where is he now, Miss Prater?
He's in his room, asleep. Here's Mother now, officer. Mother?
Yes, dear.
Mother? This is Mr. Friday and Mr. Smith from the police. My mother, Mrs. Atkins.
Hello.
How do you know, ma'am?
Ellen says there's something about Alfred?
Yes, ma'am, that's right.
I don't see any need to call the police. Accident, that's what the doctor said.
Well, there's no death certificate, ma'am. We have to look into it. It's just routine.
Mrs. Prater told us pretty much what we want to know. We'd just like to get your side of it.
Sure, I was there, you know. I saw it all. He got up from the table, said he had a heart attack. Well, he wasn't fooling me.
I beg your pardon?
He wasn't fooling me. I knew. Heart attack. Phooey.
I don't understand.
He was drunk.
Mother.
Well, I still think he was, and you ain't going to change my mind.
Had Mr. Prater been drinking?
No. Well, he maybe had a drink on the way home from work, you know, to relax him a little.
Mm-hmm.
Relax him. There was no trouble relaxing him. Big thing was to get him off the dime. Laziest man I ever knew. I told her not to marry him. I was against it all the time. I knew his type. Out carousing around. Hanging around in bars. And he'd come home and take it out on poor Ellen and little Ray.
Mother, please. Alfred was my husband. He's Ray's father. He's dead. Find a little forgiveness in your heart.
That's all I'll find. A little. Officer, I'm not afraid to say what I think. I didn't like him. I never did. As far as I'm concerned, he was no good. Drunken bum, that's all he was. He hated me. Never did like me. Regretted every mouthful of food I ate. Never was too quiet about it either.
Mother, that's not true. Alfred never regretted having you here with us.
Well, that's what you say, and I know different. He might have died from a heart attack, all right. But if he did, that was that cheap liquor brought it on. Got up from the table, staggered around, and fell. Well, you say it was his heart, and I say he was drunk. Just plain drunk.
Well, how about it, Miss Prater? Had Mr. Prater been drinking enough to make him fall, do you think?
Certainly not, officer. You'll have to excuse Mother. She doesn't mean what she's saying.
I do, too. If you're going to call me a liar, I'm going to my room. When you're sorry about what you said, you can call me.
You'll have to forgive her. She doesn't know what she's saying.
Yes, ma'am.
My father died when I was very young, Sergeant. That was all Mother had. Guess she never did think any man was good enough for me.
I hate to do this, Mrs. Prater, but there are some questions we have to ask for our report if you'll bear with us.
Of course, I understand.
You said his full name was Alfred Kenneth Prater, is that right?
Yes.
What was his age?
36. Birthday's November 22nd.
How about his physical description?
5'11", 167 pounds. Front door. You mind answering it?
Not at all, ma'am. I imagine it's for us anyway. I'll get it, Joe.
Miss Prater, we'd like to get this straight. Just your mother, your son, and yourself were present when this accident occurred, is that right?
Yes, just the three of us. The water's ready. You sure you don't want a cup of tea?
No, ma'am. Thanks just the same.
How about the other officers?
No, I don't think you'll want him either. About your boy, Ray, Miss Prater.
What about him?
You said he was asleep?
That's right. We put him to bed right after the accident. He was so close to Alfred. They were great friends. Thought it might be best if he went right to sleep. You want to see him?
Well, probably better if he sleeps right now. We can talk to him in the morning if we have to.
I'd appreciate it if you could, Mr. Friday. He's just a boy and all this. You know.
Surely, ma'am. We understand.
Deputy Coroner Joey's taking care of the body.
Well, what about that?
They're going to take Alfred now?
Yes, ma'am.
Will he be? Can I go along? Poor Alfred.
There's no need for it, ma'am. There'll be an inquest after the autopsy. We'll give you a call about that. We know how you feel, ma'am. We don't like to intrude at a time like this, but it's one of our duties, there being no doctor in attendance at the time of death. Meantime, if there's anything we can do for you, here's our card, and you let us know anything at all.
Thank you very much. Michigan 5211.
That's right, that's right. Station 2521.
All right, Mr. Friday. Terrible thing. Can't hardly believe it. Alfred dead. Terrible. Officers?
Yes, ma'am?
I hope you didn't take Mother seriously about Alfred drinking. I know she didn't really mean it.
Well, don't worry about it, Miss Prater. We understand.
Don't forget to call us if there's anything you need.
I won't. Good night, Mr. Friday, Mr. Smith.
Good night, ma'am.
That's one for you, huh, Joe?
Yeah.
Even when he's dead, his mother-in-law won't leave him alone. Must have been a real pleasant life.
He's been rough on his wife, too, huh?
Hey, you.
Joe, you hear that?
I think I did over there by the window, didn't I?
Yeah, there's somebody there.
Well, did you call us, son?
Yeah. You the cops?
Yeah, that's right. Is there something you wanted?
Yeah, I'm Ray Prater. Something I wanted to tell you.
All right. What is it, son?
About my father. I don't want Mom to hear me. She'd be sore if she knew I told you. I'm supposed to be asleep.
What's that, Ray?
I've been sitting here listening to you talk to me. She told me she'd tell you, and she didn't.
Tell us what, Ray?
Maybe I shouldn't tell you. Mom said she'd take care of it. I just don't know what to do. I tried to think of what Dad'd do. He always said if there was something wrong to find a policeman and tell him.
All right, son. What is it you want to tell us?
About Dad. Just before he fell and hit his head, he was finishing dinner. He drank a glass of milk and put the glass down on the table, and he said to Mom, "This milk tastes bitter." Just like that. This milk tastes bitter. I tried mine, but it tastes all right.
Now, go ahead.
Well, a little bit after it, he got up from the table and he fell and hit his head.
Did your mother hear him say that about the milk?
Yes, sir. She was right there.
Well, why did you say that you didn't want your mother to know that you talked to us, Ray?
Because when I asked her about it, she said for me not to tell anybody. Mom said that if I told anybody, they wouldn't believe me. They'd be mad at me. I sat here and thought about it, and if she didn't tell you, I thought maybe I should. Is that wrong, mister?
No, son, that's not wrong.
Hope it's all right. Is it, mister?
What's that, son?
Are you mad at me?
Before we left the house, the incident looked just like another natural or accidental death. However, with the boy's story, it seemed possible that it might be something more. 11:56 p.m. Under the pretext of getting additional information for our report, Frank and I went back into the house. We talked to Mrs. Prater for another hour. It was possible that the boy's story about the glass of milk was his imagination, but it had to be checked out. While we talked to her, we had to be careful not to let her know that we'd seen or talked to little Ray. We noticed that the dishes from the evening meal had been washed and put away. We commented about this, and Mrs. Prater said that she'd done the dishes to keep her mind occupied while she waited for us. Frank and I asked her about her husband's insurance policies, and she gave us the name of the company that had written them. We asked if she and her husband had quarreled much, and she told us that in 14 years of marriage, they hadn't had one serious argument. During the conversation, we gave her every opportunity to tell us about Mr. Prater's remark concerning a glass of milk. She didn't mention it. Until we received the results of the autopsy, Frank and I figured we'd better wait before questioning her further. 12:34 a.m. We got back to the office and signed out. The next morning, we put in a call to the insurance company to check on the husband's policies. The deputy coroner said we'd have the results of the autopsy by noon. Thursday, 11:20 a.m.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. All right, sir, thank you. Yeah, that's right, Smith, 2521. Thanks again, bye.
Anything?
The insurance company says when they wrote the policy on Prater, there was nothing wrong with his heart.
Yeah.
Good-sized policy, Joe.
Yeah.
$25,000 double indemnity in case of accidental death.
Who's the beneficiary?
His wife. The guy at the company told me that Mrs. Prater called last week, wanted to know the premium on a larger amount.
Mm-hmm.
He gave it to her and said they'd like to send a salesman over to the house to talk to her and her husband. She said it wouldn't be necessary. She'd bring him down to the office. They haven't heard from her since.
$50,000. Sure good enough motive, isn't it?
Yeah. Funny about the kid, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Figuring what his father said about the milk might have meant something. Must have been a tough decision for the little guy to make, whether to tell us or keep quiet.
I get it. Homicide, Friday. Yeah, just a second. All right, go ahead. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Abernathy at the coroner's office just finished the autopsy.
Anything?
Yeah. Considerable amount of poison in the victim's stomach.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma. And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Yes, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, sunny yellow pack. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So next time, insist on Fatima quality. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Smoke Fatima, the extra mild and soothing king-size cigarette, with the added protection of Fatima quality.
The finding of the poison in the stomach of Alfred Prater had definitely ruled out natural or accidental death. There was still the possibility, however, that he'd taken his own life. The story given us by the Sun made this unlikely, but still within the realm of possibility. 1:15 p.m., Frank and I arrived at the Prater residence.
Yes? Oh, you're the officers who were here last night. Won't you come in?
Thank you.
Something more that you wanted to know? I think I told you everything last night.
Well, something's come up, ma'am. Kind of changes things a little.
What's that?
Well, originally, ma'am, we thought your husband's death was natural or accidental.
You mean now you don't think so?
No, ma'am, he died of poison.
No, it can't be. There's a mistake someplace.
No, afraid not, ma'am. Wonder if we could sit down. A few questions we're going to have to ask you.
Yes, of course. This is quite a shock, officers. I don't know what to think.
Yes, ma'am. Did you tell us what you had for dinner last night, what your husband ate?
He ate the same things all of us did, nothing different.
What was that, ma'am?
Green salad, macaroni and cheese, bread and butter, and a pudding for dessert.
You all ate the same food, is that right?
Yes, what are you trying to say? Do you think that I poisoned Alfred?
We're not trying to say anything, Mrs. Prater. Your husband died of poison. We're trying to find out why.
Just a minute. Mother? Mother, can you come out here a minute? It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Your husband have anything to drink with his dinner, ma'am?
Of course, water, then coffee after dinner. He always has a couple of cups of coffee after dinner.
Now, all he had with his dinner was water, is that right?
Yes, just water.
You ever drink anything else with his dinner? Milk, tea, maybe a glass of beer?
Oh, milk once in a while. Last night we only had enough for Ray, though. Just one glass. As for beer, Mother'd raised such a fuss, I don't think Alfred wanted to go through it. No, if he wanted beer, he drank it at the bar down the street.
Well, you're sure, though, that last night your husband only drank water with his meal, is that right?
Yes, I told you, just water. Why all this harping on milk? What are you trying to say? What are you getting at? Mother, are you coming out?
That's all the ruckus about. Can I even take a nap in peace?
These officers just told me that Alfred's death wasn't accidental, Mother.
Not accidental? Nonsense. The doctor said it was an accident. What more do you need? Got drunk and fell down, broke his head. Of course it was an accident.
I'm afraid not, Miss Atkins. Your son-in-law was poisoned.
Poisoned? How?
That's what we're trying to find out.
I seem to think that maybe I did it, Mother.
You? Why, that's ridiculous. Why would she do it?
Well, there was quite a bit of insurance, for one thing.
You've been nosing around, haven't you? So there was a little insurance. What does that prove?
It was more than a little, ma'am. $25,000 worth. Double indemnity clause makes it $50,000.
And that brings up another thing, Miss Prater.
Yeah?
The insurance company says that you called them and wanted to raise the amount of the policy. Is that right?
Well, yes, I did call him, but Alfred told me to. Said he wanted to provide more for me and Ray.
Anyone hear your husband say that he wanted more insurance?
No, we're not in the habit of discussing our private business around other people.
Other people learn to keep their noses where they belong. The world would be a better place.
Miss Atkins, I wonder if you could tell us what you had for dinner last night.
But that is the limit. I just told you what we had. Isn't that enough? Come in here and you ask a lot of questions. Poor Alfred's not even buried, and you come in here and upset me.
Well, we're awfully sorry, Mrs. Prater, but we have to find out. That's what we're paid for.
It's all right, Ellen. We've got nothing to hide. Answer their questions, and then maybe they'll leave us alone.
But I told them that we don't know anything about it. I told them.
All right, honey. Now, calm down. Now, dinner last night. What you wanted to know about?
Yes, ma'am. Just what you had to eat.
Macaroni and cheese. Little salad and some pudding Ellen made.
Nothing else?
Bread and butter.
How about something to drink?
Water. Good, clean water.
Ray drink water, too?
No, he had milk.
Mr. Prater drink milk?
I told you.
We'd like for your mother to tell us, too, ma'am, just to keep the record straight.
I think he might have had some milk to drink. I don't remember special.
No, he didn't, Mother. Remember when I poured the milk for Ray? I said there wasn't enough for anyone else. Just one glass for Ray. That's all there was. Don't you remember?
Well, no, I don't. But if you say it was that way, then I guess it was. You got no reason to lie. Ever occur to you officers that maybe Alfred took the poison himself? Ever think of that?
How's that, ma'am?
Well, didn't you tell him, Ellen? About how he used to moan around the house saying he couldn't stand it anymore?
Oh, what's this, ma'am? Your husband ever talk about taking his own life?
Yes, I didn't want to bring it up, but now I suppose I'll have to.
Yes.
Alfred was pretty depressed. He felt that he wasn't getting any place in his job. He felt that at his age he should be farther along. Times he'd get real low, say he wasn't going any place. I did my best to make him feel better. Guess it didn't do any good.
Well, did he ever say he was thinking of taking his own life?
Yes, several times. I laughed him out of it, and things would go on quiet for a while, and then something would happen that would set him off again.
Well, how is it that you didn't tell us about this before, ma'am?
Well, I didn't think it'd prove anything. No reason to drag skeletons out of the closet.
You satisfied now? You happy? Now you know about Alfred, maybe you'll leave us alone.
Is your son here, ma'am?
Yes, he's out in the yard playing. I'll call him if you have to talk to him.
I'd like to very much, ma'am.
All right, I'll get him.
And before you go, Miss Prater.
Yes?
Do you keep any poison around the house?
Of course not. I'd be afraid that Ray might find it.
Nothing at all? Nothing for rats, gophers, anything like that?
No. Never been bothered with rats or mice. There aren't any gophers around. No, Sergeant. There's no poison in the house.
Well, you wouldn't mind if we looked around, would you? Maybe your husband bought some and he didn't tell you about it.
No, go ahead and look. I know you won't find anything. Alfred and I had talked about keeping anything around that Ray might get into. I don't recall ever having bought any poison, and I'm pretty sure Alfred didn't.
Well, we'll take a look later, ma'am. It's all right. Now, if we could just talk to your son.
I'll get him. Ray? Ray, come in here. No, right now. You'll be right in, Mr. Friday. I hope you won't say anything to upset him.
Yeah, Mom? What do you want?
These men here'd like to talk to you, son. They're policemen.
What do they want to talk to me about? I haven't done anything.
We know that, Ray. Just have a couple questions for you.
This is Mr. Friday and Mr. Smith, my son Ray.
Hi. Pleased to meet you.
You bet. Wonder if you could tell us what you had for dinner last night, Ray?
Dinner?
Yes, son.
Well, Mom fixed macaroni and cheese. We had that.
Mm-hmm. Anything else, son?
A salad. I didn't like it. Then we had some pudding for dessert.
What'd you have to drink, Ray?
Milk.
What'd your father have? Ray?
I don't remember too well. You better ask Mom. She'll tell you.
I told you, Mr. Friday, only Ray had milk. His father drank water.
Ray?
That's right, Mr. Friday. Dad drank water. Nothing else.
It was apparent that Mrs. Prater didn't know Ray had talked to us the night before, and we were reluctant to involve the boy any more than was necessary. We searched the house and the garage, but we found nothing that could have been used to poison the husband. We obtained samples of Ellen Prater's and Mrs. Atkins' handwriting. We canvassed the drugstores in the immediate area. None of the druggists we talked to could remember selling poison to a woman answering either description. We contacted the office, and Sergeants Gill and Cenas and Danny Galindo were dispatched to the neighborhood where the Praters had lived previously. They were to canvass the drugstores and at the same time talk to the neighbors. In talking to the people in the area around the house, we found that the Praters were the subject of constant gossip. We heard tales of violent arguments between the victim and his wife. Several of the quarrels had resulted in the neighbors calling the police to quiet them. Around the neighborhood, we found out that Mrs. Prater had a violent temper and had had several arguments with her husband in the corner bar. According to the bartender, she accused him of running around. He went on to tell us that as far as he knew, nothing was further from the truth. That Alfred Prater loved his home and his son, and that he took to drinking as an excuse to get away from his wife's nagging. 5:20 p.m. Frank and I checked into the office.
Rough day.
Yeah, a lot of legwork.
Not that so much. Just hoping Cenas and Galindo did better than us.
Well, we didn't do too bad. We pretty much proved that what she said about the happy home life wasn't true.
I suppose. Without being able to show they were in possession of the poison, we aren't going to be able to prove much. I got it, Joe.
Yeah.
Homicide, Smith. Yeah, Gil. Mm-hmm. How about that? Yeah, ask him to, huh? Okay. Said what? Yeah, I got it. Right. See you then.
And Cenas?
Yeah, they found the place she bought the poison. Druggist out there remembered her from the description, checked the book, used the name Eileen Peters. Funny thing, though.
Yeah.
When the druggist asked her the address, she gave him the real one. You know, the house they lived in previously.
She said what she wanted the poison for?
Yeah, Gil said the book read to destroy pests.
On the way out to pick up Mrs. Prater, Frank and I outlined the plan for identification. In the event the druggist was unable to give a positive identification, we thought it better if the suspect didn't know she was being observed. This would forestall any embarrassment to the druggist. We arrived at the Prater home and took the suspect into custody. She said that she couldn't understand why we were arresting her, but that she'd be more than happy to go with us to get the thing straightened out. 6:40 p.m. Frank and I talked with Ms. Prater in the interrogation room.
Alfred and I got along perfectly, never a misunderstanding.
Well, your neighbors don't bear that out, Miss Prater.
What?
They said that you two used to fight all the time, had to call the police a couple of times.
They're busybodies, Mr. Friday, busybodies. They were jealous because Alfred and I were so happy. Once in a while we had a little fuss, but nothing worth mentioning.
How about the police being called, ma'am?
Well, they might have come by when we were playing the radio a little loud, having a party, something like that, but never an argument.
And you said your husband didn't drink any milk the night he died, is that right?
That's right, I did.
Your boy Ray seems to disagree with that. He said that his father did drink some milk, commented on the fact that it tasted bitter.
The little sneak, he's lying, of course, you know that. Wait a minute, you talked to him. He said that his father drank water, like I said. What are you trying to do, cause trouble between me and my son?
No, ma'am.
I should hope not. Poor little kid, father dead, and you're trying to say that I did it, that I killed Ray's father. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Frank?
Yeah, Joe?
It's a little warm in here. You want to open the door for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. That's better. Not too cold on you, is it, Miss Prater?
No.
Miss Prater, did you ever buy any poison for any purpose?
You asked me that before. I told you no then. The answer's the same now.
You're sure that you never bought any poison of any type?
Absolutely.
You ever do any business with a Mr. McLean in your old neighborhood?
McLean? Don't recall the name.
He's a druggist.
No. No, I always bought from Mr. Swenson, little drugstore in the corner near the house.
Excuse me a minute, will you please? I want to check something down the hall.
Yeah, all right, fine.
Listen, maybe you haven't got anything else to do, but I have. So if you'll get this foolishness over with, I'd like to go home.
Well, we're almost finished, Miss Prater. Just a couple more things.
Well, get 'em over with.
Same one, Joe. He's positive.
Mm-hmm. Miss Prater?
Yes?
Maybe if we lay this thing out for you, it'd be a little better.
Anything to get it over with. I want to go home. I got to get dinner for Ray and Mother.
All right. In the first place, you told us that you and your husband were happy. The neighbors tell us that you fought all the time. The bartender says you used to come in there and raise the roof with your husband. You claimed he was going out with other women. So the part about you and your husband being happy is a lie, isn't it?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you said your husband didn't drink any milk for dinner the night he died. Your son says he did.
What's all this about milk, anyway? What's that got to do with it?
Well, according to what your son said, it looks like that's what your husband got the poison in, doesn't it?
Where would I get poison? I didn't buy any. I told you that. You searched the house and the garage. You didn't find any.
We've got the man who sold it to you, Mrs. Prater. He just gave a positive identification.
And Don Meyer, our handwriting man, checked the samples of your handwriting with a signature in the druggist's buy book. They're the same.
He might have wanted to collect on that insurance policy.
Any way you look at it, Miss Prater, the facts point out that you killed your husband.
No, why not admit it?
I didn't want to kill him. I only wanted to make him sick. Just sick, that's all. So he'd stop drinking, stay home a little bit. I didn't want to kill him. Didn't mean it. I didn't want the money. I just wanted him home with me.
That's not. Frank, you want to call the stenographer?
Yeah, Joe.
You can understand it, can't you, Mr. Friday?
Ma'am?
You can understand it. I thought he was running around. I wanted him home with me and Ray and Mother. A nice little home for Ray. That's all I wanted. Is that wrong? Something nice for Ray. Is that wrong?
Well,
What?
What's he got now?
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On January 13th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, you know best of anyone what you're looking for in a king-size cigarette. So here's all I ask you to do. Try Fatima's and then make up your own mind. If you're looking for an extra mild and soothing smoke and a really different flavor and aroma, then Fatima is the king-size cigarette for you. Ask for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Ellen Adelaide Prater was tried and found guilty of murder in the first degree. She was sentenced to life imprisonment and is now serving her term in the state penitentiary for women. Further investigation proved that the mother-in-law, Mrs. Ruth Atkins, was unaware of the intention of her daughter to kill her husband. She was not connected in any way with the death of Alfred Prater. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Herb Ellis, June Whitley, Sammy Ogg, Virginia Gregg. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
King Size Fatima has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.